Hey, Dwight, what's up?
What's good?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. A bit of a truncated crew here today. Dr. X is traveling, will not be able to join us, which is very unfortunate, obviously. But we press on. It is Cam, it is A.M. Pfeffer, lower left. It is Canadian basketball legend Dwight Walton, lower right. We do expect Brandon Armstrong, a.k.a. B-Dot, to drop in at some point here today. And we've got a special guest for you, very timely as well with all the Rich Paul news, which we will get into. JOVAN BUHA, Lakers Insider, is going to join the show at about 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. I know we're all excited about that. So, fellas, let's dive right in. We have so many topics to get to, man. Breaking news, right, with the Jonathan Kuminga news, the John Harbaugh news to New York. We're going to start with those two elements here. And I'm just going to set up the Kuminga story and drop it off onto you guys. And so, obviously, the report came out this morning from Shams Charania. The question is, what's the best fit for Jonathan Kuminga? But here's some of the details here for you all to get caught up or just get educated on this situation. On the first day that Kuminga became eligible to be moved, he demanded a trade from the Golden State Warriors, okay? Kuminga could not be traded until Thursday, according to the terms of his contract. The trade deadline is February 5th, which is some 20 days from now. He started the first 12 games this year. Hasn't seen the floor the last 13 games because Steve Kerr sucks. Jonathan Kuminga was a restricted free agent, and he signed a 2-year, $46.8 million contract with a team option on the second year. The Kings and the Mavericks are mentioned in Shams' article among teams that have shown interest. He says several other teams are in the mix, but not named. The Warriors' decision makers, according to Shams, have given zero assurances to any team that Kuminga will be traded prior to this deadline. Okay, so I'm going to I got a quick little rant here, and then I'm going to bring you guys in for the question, and then I'm going to answer the question. I got to get this off my chest, guys. It's burning inside me. Unfortunately, this report has a major caveat. The Warriors do not have to honor this request. Like NFL teams, when a wide receiver asks out, they go, get back to work. That's what the NFL teams do. There's no player empowerment in the NFL unless you're a quarterback, okay? Anyway, the Warriors have treated Kuminga like human garbage for his entire career there, okay? And it sucks. So they're not just going to say, okay, JK, we're going to do whatever you want. They absolutely positively will not do that. They aren't going to do anything they do not want to do. Jonathan Kuminga is not in control here. Steve Kerr is, sadly. As Shams reports, he might be stuck in purgatory until this summer, perhaps beyond if the Golden State Warriors pick up his team option in the summer of 2026. I genuinely feel bad for Jonathan Kuminga. It's hard to empathize and feel bad for millionaires, but I do. This is garbage. This treatment's so unfair. It's so damaging. He does not deserve this. He's not a rock the boat guy like Ja Morant, who we'll get to. Think about this, guys. Not one team in the NBA, not one outside of Golden State, would draft a stud like Jonathan Kuminga, albeit raw, but a stud in the top 10, I think 7th overall, and then treat him like this, stunt his growth, and perhaps when all is said and done, ruin what was once a very promising career. Certainly hope it doesn't go down that way, but it might, and it's Steve Kerr's fault. This is coaching malpractice at its finest, guys. It is a fireable offense. I've been saying it all year. The Warriors will never win big with the now idiotic Steve Kerr. He's also a pathological liar, by the way. Steve Kerr's treatment of Jonathan Kuminga, James Wiseman, Moses Moody, who didn't play for 3 years, Podziemski, who he's constantly yo-yoing, disrespecting Klay Thompson at the end. It will forever stain his legacy for me. Like Belichick with the cheating, okay? That's a huge yeah, but. And people don't like to bring it up. I bring it up every single time. Yeah, the guy's got 7 Super Bowls as a head coach. Guess what? He cheated for about 5 of those, okay? And Brady's awesome and all this kind. But he's a cheater. He's a serial cheater. That's who he is, okay? This is a huge yeah, but on Steve Kerr. And I'm going to bring it up every time his name comes up for the rest of my life to pour water on the once great Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr sucks. I'm super salty with Joe Lacob for sitting back, sitting on his hands, and letting this culture fester for years. Think about it, guys. I have an analogy for you, okay? I've been sick. I've been watching a lot of movies, all right? Steve Kerr is Colonel Kurtz from Apocalypse Now, a once great leader who has descended into madness. And for those who don't remember, let me catch you up. It's a phenomenal movie. Colonel Kurtz was a rogue U.S. Army Special Forces officer, the main antagonist in Apocalypse Now, 1979. The movie came out. He descends into madness during the Vietnam War, leading a tribe with extreme barbaric methods. It's horrific, right? And eventually becomes an evil cult leader that the U.S. military wants assassinated. Okay, that's the movie, and it's a kick-ass movie. I have no reason to believe that Jonathan Kuminga will be traded. In fact, I'll be shocked if Jonathan Kuminga actually gets his way and gets traded. All right, guys, there's no time limit on this. You can take a swing on any of that. But the question is here, Jonathan Kuminga, what's the best fit for him? And Dwight Walton, I go to you first.
Listen, your feelings for Coach Steve Kerr, Rick, is well documented, and I can understand your feelings towards that. I think he's a great coach. I think he has a style of play, a style of player that he prefers, and currently Jonathan Kuminga doesn't fit that style. And I may get some backlash for this, but I would like to see Jonathan Kuminga. I don't know about the fit, but I would like to see Jonathan Kuminga get the exact same opportunities that the Thompson twins have gotten, Ausar and Amen. They've been given the chance to play, to grow. I think if put in the right situation, I think Kuminga can do the same things. I believe he's a better offensive player than the Thompson twins currently. Listen, Amen is getting much opportunities. He's basically been given the point guard duties in Houston because of the unfortunate preseason injury to Fred VanVleet, and he's doing quite well, and I will give him credit for that. Ausar is a different role currently in Detroit. He gets to fit in. He gets to use his athleticism, his defensive prowess for the Detroit Pistons. But I think Jonathan Kuminga, again, in my opinion, is on that level if given the proper opportunity. Where is he going to get that? I'm not sure. And it's pretty obvious to say today that Kuminga has demanded a trade because January 15th was the first day that he was eligible to be traded. I know he's sick and tired of the treatment he has received in San Francisco under the tutelage of Steve Kerr. But the reality is the Golden State Warriors, they missed on James Wiseman and Jonathan Kuminga. You can question how Moses Moody, Brad Podziemski, and any other young players that the Warriors have drafted recently, how they've been used. But it's pretty clear that Steve Kerr wants to be around a veteran group rather than trying to develop young players. It is what it is with Steve Kerr. He's a championship basketball player. He's a championship coach. He's a gold medal winning coach. So he's going to do what he feels is best for whatever teams he coaches. We can go back to the summer of 2024 at the Paris Olympic Games where he sat Jason Tatum for whatever reasons whenever they played against the Serbian national team. He felt that Jason Tatum, one of the best players in the world, couldn't match up or his style of play didn't fit going up against the Serbian national team. Whatever that means, we'd have to ask Steve Kerr in a private conversation. But again, Steve Kerr has his way, he has his philosophy, and Jonathan Kuminga doesn't fit it. I want to see Kuminga go to a team where he's given the exact same opportunities that Ausar and Amen Thompson have been given with the Detroit Pistons and Houston Rockets, respectively.
All right, Dwight, love the take, man. And I love the comparison to Amen and Ausar, who big, rocked up, athletic, but like I said with Jonathan, albeit raw, and they've got a lot of skill to develop. Ausar's not getting the appropriate time, in my opinion, in Detroit, but they're tops in the East and they're a tremendously deep team. All right. So he's kind of getting caught up in a numbers game a little bit, but at least he's starting and at least he's playing 25, 28, 29 minutes, right? I'd like to see him at 34 minutes. He's on a couple of my fantasy teams, but it is what it is. Kuminga obviously has been exiled. So AM Pfeffer, you can take. I'm handing you the bat if you want, and Kerr's the pinata. Go ahead and hit it if you want, or you can just answer the question: what's the best fit for Jonathan Kuminga?
Well, let me first try and bring in my best Brando here for you. The horror. The horror. Awful. But there's a reason I'm not an actor.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. Colonel Kurtz. Colonel Kurtz. So this is interesting. You know, this is interesting for a number of reasons, but I want to start here that all of us, I think, would agree that we're all like player empowerment guys for sure. But I've never enjoyed the demand to trade until now, until today. This is the first time I think ever where the player is right. Kuminga's right. The time to demand the trade is now, and he should be traded. Here's the other thing. I think the Warriors will trade him. And I know you mentioned, Rick, maybe not. But there's a big part of his contract. The fact that the second year is a team option, it's actually designed as effectively an expiring contract so they can move off of it. They designed it that way on purpose. It makes it a trade piece. And I think there's a lot of teams out there who could otherwise, of course, use his services and see if they can get something out of him. I mean, when I think of Kuminga, it's like, just go back. Do you guys remember December 27th and 28th of 24, which is, it seems like a long time ago, but it's actually just a little over a year ago at this point, where he had like back-to-back 34-point nights. I think one of those nights was like 34, 10, and 5, just an unbelievable stat line, right? And it was like, this is the dude. He's arrived. We're here. A couple weeks later, he rolls his ankle. He's out like well over 30 games, and we all know how that season ended. We were all excited for him to come back this year, get back into the system, see where this goes, be the young talent on that team with all the other aging stars, and it hasn't worked out that way. And yeah, Rick, you've done enough hitting of Steve Kerr's pinata. I don't need to jump on it any further, but I agree with everything you're saying at this point, and he's got to go in a number of different fashions, whether he retires or he ultimately gets fired. Lacob deserves his own bat as well. But this comes down to, like, where do you want to see Kuminga? Because I think that there's a lot going on out there. You're talking about teams that are otherwise interested in him, but I hate the teams that are interested in him. I don't want to think about him going to another barren wasteland. He needs to go to a situation where he actually can play and get infused into the team, and then the team gets to decide next year if they want to exercise that option. Do they want to renegotiate the contract? Do they want to keep him as a long-term plan? But he needs to go on an upstart team, a team that actually matters and that is ready to bring him in. And it's like, you know, so what are we talking about, right? Like, I don't want to see him on the Kings. I don't want to see him on Memphis. I don't want to see him on the Wizards, on Charlotte, which is, at this point, I like Charlotte's nucleus. They're actually starting to play well together, and LaMelo is getting excited. Like, to me, my number one team, and you know I love this team. I've mentioned them a million times. I like the Bulls. They need a small forward at this point. I think he pencils in beautifully with Gideon Buzelis, and you can see where he goes from there. And I would love to see him go on that. And again, he's sub $30 million for this year. Like, they can take it on and they can stretch him. They have the money to do this after the fact. Maybe he goes there and all of a sudden that team who's sitting in 8th, 9th, 10th place and is a borderline playoff team surges up and can do something this year. And then they've got a nucleus for the future. The Suns, Dylan Brooks is kind of playing out of position on a number of nights, having to be shooting guard, small forward, whatever it is. Like, Kuminga can pencil in there. I don't know if you want to mess with that chemistry right now, because they're doing about as well as anybody could have imagined. I think their over-under was 31 starting the year, and they're like already at 24 wins, and we're not even at the All-Star break. So I don't know how much you want to mess with that. The Hawks, the much maligned Hawks, who just made the Trae Young trade. Like, do you bring in Kuminga? Again, Risa Shea is not quite there yet as your small forward. Corey Kispert, as we know, came in from the Wizards. He's not going to do what you need, but, like, can you pencil him down in the Hawks? They have, you know, again, the expired contract makes it interesting. Then they move off CJ McCollum. They can make that trade and give them back to Golden State if they're trying to do that. The Cavs have an interesting thing going on there. Like, they need more 3-and-D guys. You can't rely on Allen and Mobley. This obviously isn't working well. The Garland-Mitchell backcourt it's not getting it done. It's like this weird thing. It's almost like an NFL team where like the back end of the defense is great, but your front seven isn't. It's not gelling at the moment. We know. Maybe there's still room in, you know, the rest of the season where they come back to form like they were last year without bringing in a missing piece. Again, but DeAndre Hunter is playing somewhat out of position some nights as well. And it's like, have 2 and 3 and D guys on the team. You know, have a Kuminga and Hunter who you know, that to me is amazing. If you could bring that tandem in there, all of a sudden the Cavs are exciting again. And here's my wild card team for you. They get mentioned all the time with everybody, but San Antonio, okay? I think he slots in very well. And I'm going to throw this out there. I'm going to throw in like this last little zinger. I still think San Antonio needs to move off of De'Aaron Fox. What? Yes. I do not like his contract. He hasn't been playing as well as he did. You know, these last 2 weeks, he hasn't been playing as well as he was the first part of the season, and especially Wemby in and out of the lineup. And I love De'Aaron Fox. I think he's a guy who needs his own team. Put him on Brooklyn, okay? And match him up with MJP. Put him on the Wizards and restart this whole thing and reignite their era. But the De'Aaron Fox contract, I'm telling you, this ain't going to age well. This isn't going to go well for them. You know, you've got like guys like Vassell and Keldon Johnson, and you've even got like Steph Castle. Again, another guy playing out of position a little bit down there. Like, get off the Fox contract, bring in a Kuminga, see what you could do. Because again, look at San Antonio. Their last 10 games, they're sub 500. Things are not going as well as swimmingly as they were earlier in the season. So that's my list. That's what I'd like to see with Kuminga. But yeah, good for Kuminga making this demand of the trade. Bad on Kerr and Lacob for doing what they did with his career. And I would like to see him on one of those teams. I think it would make a difference for him and for the league.
You guys
Rick,
rock, man. Yeah, what's up, Dwight? Hit me.
Rick and AM, first of all, the Spurs aren't getting off the De'Aaron Fox contract. That's not going to happen. There's a reason why he gave him that contract. He asked for the trade from Sacramento because his wife is from the San Antonio area. I believe that De'Aaron is also from Texas. I'm not sure if it's also the San Antonio area as well. And I think they're looking to him to be the somewhat veteran leader in that locker room along with Harrison Barnes. And the Spurs aren't going to mess with that roster currently. If you want to exchange Jeremy Sohan for Jonathan Kuminga, now we're talking. But in terms of De'Aaron Fox, they are not going to get rid of him. The things are going too well in San Antonio. Yes, they're going through a lull right now, but it's an 82-game season. You look at the teams that have done well in the NBA Emirates Cup, and then look at the stretch of games, the schedule, how congested it becomes for those teams. I blame it on that. 82 games is a long season, man. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So teams are going to go through their lulls at different points in time. Jonathan Kuminga, when given the opportunity, albeit when Steve Kerr had to play him due to injuries, trades, whatnot, Jonathan Kuminga put up some pretty serious scoring numbers. And that's why I truly believe, and I'm going to die on this hill, I think he's a better offensive talent right now than Amen Thompson. Your points are valid, Rick, about Asar not getting the appropriate minutes, how he's being yo-yoed up and down in that lineup. But Detroit's good, man. They're going to be heard from in the Eastern Conference playoffs. But Jonathan Kuminga could put the ball in the basket. Yes, his three-point shooting is inconsistent, but I believe with more game reps, with more consistent minutes and more game reps, you are going to see that three-point shooting percentage go up. I think Jonathan Kuminga, for as raw as he was coming into the NBA, needs an opportunity. I don't know what team to put him on, but put him in a position to where he's going to get consistent minutes. And I think you're going to see the Jonathan Kuminga, who was drafted 7th by the Warriors, who the Warriors thought he was going to be. Just give the guy an opportunity. I think he could be very good on both ends of the floor. Give him a chance to play, man. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, we all are. The guy needs a chance to play. It's so obvious. He wasn't the 57th pick in the draft. You know, some dice roll, some flyer. He was the 7th pick in the draft. And there was hype about Jonathan Kuminga. Not like Zion or LeBron or Wemby, but there was hype about Kuminga. There was excitement about him coming into the draft, okay? And then he got with Steve Kerr. aka Colonel Kurtz. Here is my wish list top 5 for Jonathan Kuminga. And AM, I love you, but I don't agree that Kuminga needs to go on like an upstart team. I think Kuminga needs to go to a horse bleep team. That's what I think. Now, I do have the Bulls in here, AM, okay? I do see the vision there. I like it. Number 1 for me is the Washington Wizards, okay? They're tanking this year. I hope that they get a top 4 pick. I'm rooting that they get one of the top 4 dudes because I'm a Trae Young guy. I'm out here rooting for my boy Trae, okay? And so I want some studs around Trae Young because I want Trae Young to be able to go back to State Farm Arena and drill the freaking Hawks with his new team, okay? So that's what I want to have. Screw the Hawks, you dumbasses. Give me a break. Corey Kispert and CJ McCollum for Trae Young? You idiots. Stop it. You don't get any draft capital. I mean, it's unbelievable. All right. So I want to see the Washington Wizards get a Bansa or Wilson or Boozer, one of these big boys coming out in the draft. And I want to see them have Jonathan Kuminga. Okay, so now you've got Keyshawn George, you got Kuminga, you got Sarr, you got Trae. You're going to add this piece through the draft. I kind of like that, okay? What are they going to win next year? I don't know. Maybe you win 30 games, right? It's going to take a minute. That's where I want Kuminga to go because I think Kuminga running with Trae Young, that's his game. Kuminga's a runner, a slasher, a la Richard Jefferson back in the day, right? He's not, a catch and shoot guy. He's not really a pull-up jumper guy. Unless it's about 15, I'm okay with that. But coaches don't usually want the pull-up 15-footer, especially from a guy like Kuminga. They want it from Durant or Booker, those types of guys. They don't want it. Anyway, you guys get that. Number 2 for me is the Brooklyn Nets. Okay, the Brooklyn Nets, I've said it a million. They are the most boring team in the NBA. Nobody cares. Nobody cares, okay? They're the show on Netflix nobody watches, and it got canceled after 1 season, okay? It actually got canceled during the season. That's how bad the show was. That's how bad the Nets are. They have no life, no pizzazz, no sexy, no nothing, okay? Kuminga would help them start to get back. Bulls are number 3 for me. For all the reasons you said, Am, I don't need to piggyback on that, but I like I said, I see the vision. Number 4 for me is Memphis. Okay, Memphis might trade Jaren Jackson Jr. to Boston. Oh my gosh, I would love that trade, right? Holy cow. Boston would be like, how you like us now? Okay, and 2 months, from now, they may bring in Jason Tatum. Anyway, so the Grizzlies are going to trade Ja. We're going to talk about that in a minute. It's going to happen. He's like quarreling with teammates overseas. What is happening here? So the Grizzlies, to me, because they're in a rebuild, because they're going to enter tank mode, why not? Jonathan Kuminga, go there, play 35 minutes, make mistakes, have victories, have successes, failures, and figure it out, okay? And then number 5 for me are the 2 teams that Shams mentioned, the Mavericks and the Kings. I really don't want him to go to either of those teams, but anywhere's better than Alcatraz, a.k.a. the Golden State Warriors, with Steve Kerr serving as the warden, okay? And he is not a merciful warden. All right, guys, we got to move on here. And talk about John Harbaugh. The first domino has fallen in the NFL coaching carousel. Adam Schefter reports Harbaugh and the Giants are finalizing an agreement to make him their next head coach. Obviously, he spent the last 18 years with the Baltimore Ravens, 180 wins. That's 10 wins a year, and won a ring there. The Giants are 7-27 over the last 2 years. They're kind of like the Nets right now. Nobody cares, okay? No one's watching the Giants on Sunday except Giants fans who are watching and crying at the same exact time. Not anymore. The veteran coach wanted a team that was good at quarterback. Well, you have Jackson Dart. Well done, John. The Giants have the 5th pick in the draft, okay? They're going to get a big boy. They're going to get a franchise pillar. They don't have a 3rd-round pick. They use that to get Dart, but they've got other picks and stuff like that. They also have cap space. It's at least 20, and it could go up to $40 or $50 million in cap space, depending on who they cut, okay? So there's now 8 coaching vacancies with Harbaugh expected to take this job. Steelers, Ravens, Browns, Raiders, Titans, Falcons, Cardinals, and Dolphins. And so, Am, I go to you first on this because you're a Jets fan. So you can either I don't know, say some good things about the Giants or throw shade. The floor is yours. But are the Giants officially back?
Yeah, they're back. This was a great move for them, and I think a great move for Harbaugh. And I know a lot of people out there in the community, in the NFL community, are screaming for him to take the Atlanta job. I didn't think the Atlanta job was as exciting as everybody thinks that it is. Right now, you got an aging Kirk Cousins as your starter, and you don't know if Penix is going to be healthy, and he doesn't know who his quarterback's going to be, and they're not really in a position to take another one. Yeah, Bijan Robinson is amazing. Yeah, that defense is up and coming. But this is New York, baby. You've heard me say it before. Sinatra, Alicia Keys, whoever you're a fan of, come to the Big Apple. Good for John Harbaugh, and no shade to Baltimore, which is in its own right one of the most underrated cities. I love Baltimore. Shout out to my mom, Pikesville, Ricerstown Road, where she grew up, and I loved going down to Baltimore growing up, and it's a great city. But this is New York. Harbaugh now has the biggest stage of all, and I think the Giants. I think he looks at that team and he's like, "Are you kidding me? I got Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, and former top 10 pick Kayvon Thibodeau as my nucleus of pass rushers." He looks at that team and he says, I could do a hell of a lot better with the offensive line and a hell of a lot better with the running game. Jackson Dart's an up-and-comer. You're giving me Malik Neighbors back, and you're giving me a top-5 pick. Maybe I pair him with another wide receiver, and all of a sudden, I've got juice on this team. They have always thrived. I'm talking about the Giants now with a CEO-type coach, because that's who Coughlin was. They have failed with every other coach after the fact. Bring in another CEO-type coach. I understand that as the league grows and as time goes on, the CEO-type coach might not have a place as much in the league as we go into the future. But Harbaugh's still a great coach. He is the right guy to be the CEO-type coach for a certain team, and I think it works well. So yeah, I'm a Jets fan. I grew up hating the Giants, but I could give credit where it's due for both sides. This is a great match. And when I was looking at them side by side, as far as the open availability between the Giants and Atlanta Falcons, and then potentially the Miami Dolphins. Again, Miami was like, do you want to just go down to Miami and enjoy yourself? Sure, I would understand if Harbaugh did that. But he's looking for another decade of success, and he wants to do it in the Big Apple. Good on you, John.
Hey, you made a bunch of great points. I love the CEO coach thing because that's what Harbaugh is. The Atlanta job sucks. I mean, it's an NFL head coaching job, but comparatively to I think the Raider job is better. At least you have an open canvas. You have the first overall pick. Atlanta has way more questions than answers right now. The people that wanted John Harbaugh to go to Atlanta, why do you want to torture him? Why do you want to do that to him? I mean, why do you want to? What did he do to you? Anyway, Dwight Walton, are the Giants officially back?
You know what? I'm not going to say the Giants are back. Yes, they had the most. I think they had the closest margin of losses this season, but the reality is they won 4 games. But what I will say, it's going to be tough to go from 4 wins to double-digit wins. But what the Giants do have is that they're one of the more stable organizations in the National Football League, in spite of them being irrelevant, as you've called them, Rick. I just think because of that stability, because of the owner and John Mara, because of how everything permeates throughout the organization, that is what had John Harbaugh interested in that organization. Stability. That's what they had. That's what he had in Baltimore. That's why he was there for 19 years. But what I will say, the Giants do have building blocks, and it starts with the quarterback, Jackson Dart. He showed flashes this year. Of course, we all would like to see him make business decisions by either sliding or running out of bounds rather than putting himself in harm's way with the multiple concussions that he suffered his rookie season. If he continues to not care and to, quote unquote, do what's best for the team, he's not going to last long in the National Football League. But the Giants do have what they do consider their franchise quarterback. They have a pretty good running back in Cam Skattebo. Will his style of play last long? That remains to be seen. But I like what he brings to the table in terms of that toughness, in terms of the swag he brings to the running back position. They've got a stud wide receiver in Malik Neighbors. Yes, he's going to be coming off of an ACL injury, but the ACL injuries have proven to not be as catastrophic as they once were back in the day, with the much improvement in science and technology in terms of the medical profession today. They've got building blocks on the defensive side. Brian Burns, Abdul Carter. They've got a stud linebacking core. They've got some pretty decent safeties on the back end. I think the Giants are going to be pretty good going forward. They're playing in arguably the best division in the National Football League. It's going to be tough, a tough road to hoe going forward. I said arguably, AM. It is going to be a tough road going forward, but they have the building blocks to start the process of being back, not only in the East, in their division, but across the National Football League. I think John Harbaugh made the right decision because of the stability of the organization that the Giants put forth. And I believe the ownership group will give Harbaugh the time and be patient with him to allow him to grow with this group going forward.
I love the point that you make there, Dwight. The Giants, they've sucked for a while now, but they have owners that have shepherded championships, okay? These guys know how to win it, okay? They haven't done it in a while, but they've done it. They have done it. People forget that about Jerry Jones. Everybody wants to slander Jerry Jones, and he sucks, and he should stop, being the GM. And I completely disagree with that, okay? He's had hits. He's had misses. You have the choke artist galore, Tony Romo. I mean, I could go on. But this guy was the architect of a dynasty. It was a long time ago, but he did that. And everybody forgets that. Like, Jerry Jones sucks now. It drives me crazy. I mean, I don't like Jerry Jones' politics at all, okay? I'll say that. But, the body of work, the resume in terms of the NFL, anyway, random thought there. Oh, hell yeah, the Giants are back. They have John Harbaugh, for crying out loud, okay? And Dwight, again, you make a great point with 4 wins. Can they get to 10? It's going to be tough, but it is the NFL. And we do see wild turnarounds in the NFL. We don't really see it in the NBA, right? Like wild turnarounds. Like you go from sucking to a playoff team. Doesn't really happen in the NBA. It can happen in the NFL, but you got to hit it just right. And you got to have the right coach, and the Giants do. Again, I'm not sitting here right now and saying the Giants will be a playoff team. All I'm saying is they're going to hover around 500. They're going to be a stable, solid team this year. Do they get to 10, 11, 12 wins? Probably not. But Harbaugh's going to, I would say this, he's going to double their win total at least. Like, that's the floor. They're going to go from 4 to 8, and maybe you get a couple more or something like that. Guys, since the great Tom Coughlin retired, these are the Giants head coaches. And this is so Jets of the Giants. I love you, AM. This is so Jets of the Giants. Okay, they've gone with McAdoo with the worst hairline I've ever seen in the history of coaching. He had the worst hairline ever. It's like, bro, you got to do something different with that salad right there. That shit ain't working, bro. Like, you're the coach of the Giants looking like a cartoon character? What is that, dude? And obviously, he was a terrible head coach. Shermer, swing and a miss. Judge, gigantic swing and a miss. Daboll, gigantic swing and a miss. And then Kafka was the interim at the end of the year. Who cares?
Hold on. Rick, Daboll won a playoff game, though.
Yeah, but I mean, you get the point here. They won a playoff game with him, but he was their coach the last 2 years when they went 7-27. Okay, that was ultimately not a good hire. Brian Daboll, and he got whacked about it. And so when you hire a coordinator, right? All these guys, coordinators, you are hoping that coordinator can be a head coach. You don't know. What's the dude's? Jonathan Gannon came from Philly, went to Arizona, face planted. Okay, he's got quarterback problems because Kyler Murray's as soft as tissue paper and a brat and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, that's a coordinator. Guess where he's going to be next year, guys? It's going to be somebody's defensive coordinator. Okay, you don't get a lot of these opportunities, but you're hoping that the coordinator can be a head coach. But it's a leap of faith. Okay, you need to hire a coach. head coach like John Harbaugh, a leader of men, can inspire the fan base, make the right decisions during games, when to call timeout, when to kick, when to punt, all that critical stuff. But with most coordinators don't stick. They're a year or two with the Jets or Browns, and then they get fired and sent right back to being an OC or a DC. Okay, this is not that hire. This is a home run hire. This is Aaron Judge, 450 feet. Everybody goes crazy at the stadium, all right? He's a difference maker, a culture setter, proven winner, proven leader of men, proven developer of players, Lamar Jackson, who tons of coaches, guys, would have ruined, okay? Like Steve Kerr and Jonathan Kuminga. Think about Lamar Jackson. How many coaches are arrogant? They're all arrogant, some arrogant to a major fault, okay? So many coaches would have tried to have Lamar Jackson fit with their system. You can't do that, okay? You can't make Michael Vick a pocket passer. It's idiotic. Why would you do that? Why would you neutralize his legs, which are some of the best in NFL history, okay? Harbaugh figured out we have to build our system around Lamar Jackson. 2 MVPs, could have been a third, blah, blah, blah. Just success, okay? Jackson Dart was a hit for the Giants. Dwight, great points. He's got to make some business decisions. Malik Neighbors will be back early-ish next year, probably not week 1. He had the ACL, meniscus, and a partially torn labrum. I mean, my God, that's a pretty awful hat trick right there. Had surgery in late October, okay? So might not start the season on time. I'm very worried about Cam Scatterbo. I was worried about the bad 40 time, the big bulky body, right? Kind of built like a fullback. And, I mean, he had an open fracture. I mean, his leg was disintegrated. I highly doubt he's going to be Cam Scatterbo. I really do. I hope I'm wrong with that. I do like the swag. I like the toughness. He's like a 23-year-old Frank the Tank. Remember that? Like, I can't do a beer bong. I got to go to Bed Bath & Beyond tomorrow. And then he just gets wasted at the frat party, right? Cam Scatterbo looks like a fun guy to party with and roll Manhattan with. You know what I'm saying? But I worry about him. But it's the running back position. You can get a running back easily. That's not hard. Theo Johnson is going to pop next year. Put him on your fantasy sleeper list. The Giants need a number 2 wide receiver. They don't have one right now. Darius Slayton ain't that guy, okay? You got a bookend Malik Neighbors. You got Theo Johnson. You're going to get a good back. Now you're going to be ready to go. The Giants the Giants defense sucked. It was horrible, okay? They were 28th in yards allowed, 26th in points allowed. But Harbaugh's a proven architect of good defenses. And at times, really good defenses in his time there at Baltimore. So I have full faith and trust. I will say this. Like I said, he's going to double their win total. I'm virtually guaranteeing that. And I'm also virtually guaranteeing that by year 2, John Harbaugh will have the New York Giants back in the playoffs. All right, guys, let's talk about Ja Morant. I'm going to give you guys like all this news that's been going on, and then I'll let you guys go first. The question is Miami a legit contender with Ja Morant? Because, guys, it's crystallizing to Miami here. Rachel Nichols reported Morant wants to go to Miami. It's his preferred destination. Shams reports this could potentially be the beginning of Ja's exit from Memphis, with the Heat and Kings standing out. However, Jake Fisher reported the Kings are not expected to make an aggressive offer, and the Timberwolves are not expected to trade their depth for a point guard. Take them out, okay? The Steinline writes the Kings are not expected to pursue Ja Morant, okay? So there's a lot of it's not going to be the Kings, it's not going to be the Wolves, and these are just reports, but it's what we got right now. Kevin O'Connor reports the Grizzlies are unlikely to receive any unprotected first-round picks for Ja. You would have to be insane to give an unprotected first-round pick for Ja Morant. Insane. Like your boy Steve Kerr, okay? And they're willing to take on bad contracts. It's just going to continue, guys. And I'm not sorry. But the Grizzlies, according to Kevin O'Connor, are willing to take on bad contracts in the hopes of acquiring more young players and draft picks in trade talks. And then you have the latest from Europe, where it got spicy. I don't understand why Ja Morant is traveling with the Grizzlies right now to Europe. I don't. They had no intention of playing him. He was at shoot-around, went through practice, and then they ruled him out. Okay, why? Because they're trying to trade him and they don't want him getting hurt because he's as brittle as anybody who's ever played the game. And soft, by the way. But guys, all of that did not keep Ja Morant at shoot-around from almost getting into a fight with teammate Vince Williams. Vince Williams took the classy route. I want to kick your ass, Ja, but let's go to the back and do it. Okay? He said that a couple of times. Let's go to the back. And Ja Morant said, I'm right here. I'm right here. Okay? Like Vince Williams is going to ruin his career, Ja, by swinging on you with cameras rolling so everybody can see him. Duh. Give me a break, dude. And Ja doesn't want that smoke. Vince Williams will kick his ass, man. Way bigger than him. Newsweek reports a Heat trade for Ja Morant likely centers on Tyler Hero and Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier's expiring contract. Probably he's never going to play again. Simone Fontecchio and potentially a future first-round pick. So I go to Dwight Walton first here. The question is, it's crystallizing to Miami here, Dwight. It looks, and there was a report I didn't even put in here that something about Miami has interest in Ja Morant. And I know you're going to throw another log on this fire that you sent to our group chat, and I'm not going to steal your thunder, but the signs are pointing to Ja going to Miami. So, Dwight Walton, are they a legit contender if they get Ja Morant?
You know what? The Heat are contenders right now in the Eastern Conference. And I give Eric Spoelstra, who has now become the longest tenured coach in North American professional sports since John Harbaugh has departed Baltimore and gone to the New York Giants. I credit Eric Spoelstra to the style of play that he has incorporated to the Miami Heat. He has sort of taken the approach to adhere to today's NBA, which is pretty much emphasizing versatility and depth throughout the lineup, which means you're going to play faster than normal, pace of space, get as many shots up as you can. Don't allow the defense to be set. And the reason why I'm sort of hesitant with this Ja Morant to Miami situation is because I think Thomas Isalu and the Memphis Grizzlies run a very similar offense to what Ja is not happy to be in. He's a very ball-dominant, heavy screen roll type of player. And the Heat currently lead the league in the least amount of screen roll action in the NBA because they want to space the floor. They don't want to bring a second defender to a ball handler. They want their players to show creativity off on the offensive end. Now, is Ja balking against the situation in Memphis because he secretly wants to get out? I don't know. But any team in the NBA would love to have Ja Morant on their roster, and a healthy and an available Ja Morant will definitely make a contender, a championship contender. So to answer your question, Rick, I believe he does, but he needs to be right mentally and physically. That's what I think. That's what has to happen here. And if a deal with the Miami Heat happens, it's going to be, from what I'm understanding, it's going to be Terry Rozier's contract, it's going to be Davion Mitchell, and the Heat's 2029 first-round pick, if that is the deal, going back to Memphis for Ja Morant. I think Ja Morant is as good as one of the more dynamic players that we have in the league. And if his mind is right, he could definitely make a team a championship contender. My opinion.
Boy, that's a big if. I hear the theory. I hear the theory. Like I've told you guys, Josh got to come get me. I'm out. I'm out. He got to come get me back, man. He's got to come get me back. I hope he goes to a big boy like you're saying, Dwight, and he gets that opportunity to prove me wrong. Like, I'm not out here. I don't care. I don't walk around. I don't lie in my bed before I go to sleep. I don't drive to the store and think about Ja Morant. I don't. I mean, when we're in this setting and we're hashing it out, I think about it and talk about it. But I'm not as convinced that he just instantly snaps a team, way up the ladder. Because as you said, if his mind is right and his body is right, those are two gigantic leaps of faith. But I would love to see Ja Morant get it right, click the head in, okay? and get off of planet Ja and join the rest of us down here on Earth. Ja's feet aren't on the ground, guys. They're not. He's in the air, okay? He thinks he's above all this. He thinks he's cooler than it, better than it, all that kind of stuff, and he's not, okay? He hasn't been humbled enough yet, I guess, which is shocking because he's lost millions in suspensions and really horrible decision-making. AM Pfeffer, over to you, my friend. If Ja Morant is traded to Miami, does he make them a legit contender?
Not a legit NBA contender for the championship, but he makes him a legit contender in the East. That's the qualifier. I don't think that even if he goes there, it's going to... What's up, my man? Hey, it's up, E-Dot. I don't think that, they're not going to compete with the top 5, maybe 6 teams in the West, and it won't matter that much, and especially Oklahoma City Thunder, who I expect back in the finals. But if you look at the East right now, they sit 8th. They're actually 2 games above 500 because as Dwight pointed out, Alex Spoelstra is that good of a coach, and he's got them where they need to be. However, this trade cannot include Tyler Herro. It just cannot. If they like Norm Powell is an all-star. A certified, legit all-star this year. He's going to be on the all-star team. He's the anchor of your team right now. Tyler Herro's got to be your shooting guard. Bam Adebayo, who's not an all-star this year, has to stay there, and he's got to be part of the equation. Okay, Jaime Jaquez has got to be part of the equation. I mean, what you want to do with Wiggins and then Davion Mitchell or who you're throwing in there, I don't know. Their first-round picks are murky until 2029. So if they want to throw a 29 first-round pick, I guess okay, though I wouldn't like to see them have to get rid of a first-round pick to then get back Ja Morant, who has fallen way down everybody's ladder, across the board, and especially with a lot of the stuff that's going on with the first and second apron now. Don't put yourself in a position where you're giving away a first-round pick, but they don't really own any of their own over the next 4 years, or if they do, some of it's owed to Charlotte, some of it's owed to OKC. It just depends where it falls. It's a murky, strange situation. So, but again, if you keep that nucleus involved and you bring in Ja Morant and he's your point guard and you literally let him run point 30 minutes a game, I do think in the East, they're a contender. They're going to be in the mix. The East is so up and down, convoluted, and I think it makes it exciting. I just want to, at least for this year, I think he could give you like the 40, 45 games, and Spoelstra would have him do what he needs to do across the board after the fact for at least this year if you brought him onto the team, but I don't know what it looks like after the fact. Not a championship contender. Why did they bring him to Europe? Probably because he wanted to see Europe. There you go.
And I mean, the Vince Williams, that was some decent Twitter theater. We have the great Brandon Armstrong, aka B-Dot, in the fold right now. And B-Dot, the question to you is, and I don't know if you heard a lot of the setup there and a lot of the reporting that's gone on since we were on the air on Monday, but it's kind of crystallizing to Ja Morant being traded to the Miami Heat right now. So, B-Dot, if that happens, are the Heat a legit contender?
Oh, man, I think I said the other day, I didn't want to see Ja go to Miami just because of the outside effects. But when it's all said and done, I know I'm retracting, but not really, because Miami is the best situation team-wise, career-wise for Ja. Why? Eric Spoelstra, one of the best coaches we've ever seen. Pat Riley, one of the best coaches, GMs, owners, whatever you want to call them, and how he's revolutionized and been able to handle superstars, with egos. I think Miami is the perfect situation for Ja, just because of what they have. And, he would have to stay. He would have to stay intact. If not, Pat Riley's booting his ass out of there. And they're not getting rid of they're not getting rid of Tyler Herro. He has to stay. That's White Iverson of the city. He is Miami's great white hope. Pat Riley is not getting rid of Tyler. Bam has to stay because Bam is a better, upgraded Jaren Jackson. And I would love to see that. Memphis to Miami, Ja in Miami. Oh my goodness, that's showtime right there, ladies and gentlemen. With T. Morant on the sideline, with his margarita, with his pina colada, and his sombrero on. Just, man, what? Oh my goodness. I don't know if they won't make him a contender, but it's the East. Like AM said, they will make him a contender in the East because it's the East. There's no dominant team in the East. As much of a Detroit Pistons fan I am, and have been this year because of Cade Cunningham, the East is still, wide open in terms of who can win it and who cannot win it. So, man, Miami, it won't make them a championship contender, but it would definitely make them an Eastern Conference Finals contender by far. And it'll give Ja a whole new joy and revolutionation. I don't even know that's a name, a word, a revolutionizing of the game and his love and joy. Who wouldn't want to play basketball in Miami? Let's put it like that. And hopefully it's Ja Morant.
No, B-Dot, I love
Rick,
the word.
that's
There needs to be just quickly, there needs to be a revolution with Ja Morant, because how he's going about this now ain't it. He does need to revolutionize how he goes about this. Dwight, go ahead.
This is what I wanted to say. I know that we tend to focus on the negative aspect surrounding Ja Morant, but I'm talking about the basketball player. If he's available and on the floor, he had Memphis. We were talking about Memphis as contenders in the Western Conference before the dominance of the Oklahoma City Thunder came through. Remember a couple of years ago, he made the infamous statement, "I'm good in the West." Of course, that ended up not aging very well, but that's how we viewed the Memphis Grizzlies, their young core. Ja Morant, Dylan Brooks, Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bain. We were talking about these guys. Again, a lot has happened since the glory days, the early part of Ja Morant's career. I understand that. But again, I think a change of scenery, I think a moment of reflection, him looking in the mirror and holding himself accountable, having his people around him stop being yes people and start giving him the proper guidance, the proper inspiration. I think the basketball player, and of course he has to be healthy. To me, that's the main focal point with Ja Morant. I'm not sure if he's ever played 70 games in a season in his NBA career so far. I think that's the main focus here. I understand all this stuff off the floor that has been well documented over the last couple of seasons. But in terms of his availability, that's the major issue. But in terms of the basketball player, I think Ja Morant, and yes, the Eastern Conference seems to be wide open, but Ja Morant, if he is to go to the Miami Heat, and of course, depending on who the Heat have to give up to get him, I think it improves their team. It improves their chances in the Eastern Conference. And I just think he can play. Just go out there, hoop, have your mind right. I know we tend to focus on the negative stuff, but the basketball player, I think Ja, of course, I want him in Minnesota. That's well documented. But I just think he goes to a team, he instantly improves their team because of what he can bring on the basketball floor.
All right, guys, bunch of awesome takes. All right, this is really simple for me. The question is, we're Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. Dr. X is not with us today. He's traveling. We'll get him back next week. This is real simple for me. Again, the question is, does Ja, if he's traded to Miami, make them a legitimate contender? I'm not trading Tyler Hero for Ja Morant. No way. No way. Is that even a lateral move? I don't think it's a lateral move. I think it's a downgrade. With all of the questions, and Dwight, I don't want to focus on the negative stuff with Ja. I don't. I can't help it. It's been volumes and volumes and mountains and mountains and oceans of negativity from this guy. I can't help it. Like I said, come get me back, Ja. Ja, I'm here for you, bro. Come get me back. Go to a team, get your head screwed on straight, play ball, play hard, play hurt, play smart, don't rock the boat, and you'll get me back. And these are not difficult things to comply with, right? Well, they have been, big time, okay? So, but I am out here. I want Ja Morant to figure this out, okay? But there's no way I'm trading Tyler Hero for Ja Morant. 3 years ago? Hell yeah. Not now. Sorry, bro. You dropped your value with all this stuff. Okay. Why would the Heat give up a pillar in Tyler Hero? Why? When the Hawks gave up Trae Young for a washing machine. I mean, like I keep saying, the movie Semi-Pro, they traded for Monix. They gave a washing machine to Boston for Monix. It's unbelievable, man. So, and Trae Young brings more to the wood by far than Ja Morant. By far. Trae Young is on a fast track to the Hall of Fame. Ja Morant is not. Okay? So, and you got virtually nothing back for Trae Young. Why do I have to give up big boys to get Ja Morant? No way. I'm not doing that. I would trade Andrew Wiggins if I had to. You know, the Rozier thing, if I'm Miami, I love that. Bye, dude. You know, expiring contract. And you mentioned Davion Mitchell, who I love, but they wouldn't really need him if they traded for Ja Morant, because you got guard on guard on guard. You'd have Hero, Morant, Powell. You'd have Jaquez. You'd have, you know, some of the younger cats they've drafted recently. At that point, Davion would become expendable, and I would like it in that deal. And if I'm Miami, I ain't giving you a first-round pick, bro. No, why would I have to do that? I'm helping you, Memphis. You have a major problem on your hands. You have a player who might get into fights, right? I mean, we saw a player with Vince Williams. Like, we know that you have to move Ja Morant, okay? So guess what that does? Boop, it drops the price. It's not my fault. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. It's the reality of the situation. I ain't giving you a first-round pick. Hell no. The Hawks didn't get a first-round pick for Trae Young. Why would Memphis get a first-round pick for Ja Morant? That doesn't compute. That doesn't make any sense. If you can get Ja Morant, again, I'll give up Andrew Wiggins, because Andrew Wiggins, like, where does he fit? If you have Morant, Hero, Powell, and then Wiggins at the 4, I don't like Wiggins at the 4. And then, bam, what they need to do, okay, this is the lineup if you trade for Ja. Ja's your point guard, Hero's your 2, Powell's your 3, Adebayo's your 4, and it might trigger his game, because Bam has not been Bam this year, guys. He hasn't. I love him. I love the dog. I love that he plays every game, but scoring's down about 3-4 points a game. And just the other night, he took over that Phoenix game, making all those threes. That was cool to see. But I had the Heat broadcast on, and they were mentioning, like, the well been dry for Bam, okay, for a long time. And that was like an explosion for him, and it was cool to see. Maybe going to the 4 will ignite Bam. Khalil Ware, okay, the guy's averaging a double-double with a block plus. And in 24 minutes a game, Khalil Ware is ready for prime time. He is ready for 32 minutes a game and ready to become one of the better bigs in the Eastern Conference. I have no idea why Spo is bringing him off the bench. He started him last year and then has gone away from it. Don't do that. And then your bench, if you don't have to give up Davion, if you give up Wiggins, your bench is Davion, Jaquez, Jovic, Pell Larson. They don't really have a backup 5, okay? But that's not a bad little lineup. So if Ja Morant is healthy and motivated, okay, the Heat would be a legit contender in the East. However, only in the second tier, okay? The first tier is Detroit, New York, and Boston. Draw a line. Even if Miami trades for Ja Morant, they ain't up there with those big boys. Nope. At least I need to see it first. Miami, though, would go from currently in the third tier, as mid as it gets, as boring as it gets. No one outside of MIAMI cares about the Heat right now, okay? Nobody. No, everybody's anesthetized with the Heat right now. They are. Nobody cares, okay? If you get Ja, we will all care, all right? But they're in the third tier in the East right now. They're a play-in tournament team. They're as mid as it gets, and they're going nowhere. And everybody knows it, including Eric Spoelstra. If they get Ja Morant, they move into the second tier. And my second tier at that point would be Miami, Philadelphia, Orlando, and Cleveland. Okay? So they would move up a tier, but they would not become a core contender for me. They would not become a championship contender for me. They would just become a team that I think might be able to go to the second round in the Eastern Conference. No farther than that, because even with Ja, they're not beating Detroit, New York, or Boston with Jason Tatum. They're not doing that, in my opinion. All right, guys, we're going to put a clock on this one. Got a little bit of a setup here, and then I'll let you guys go first. Has Giannis Antetokounmpo burned his bridge with Bucks fans? Okay, the Bucks were down by 30 points heading into halftime Tuesday against my Wolves. Let's go, Wolves. And the fans at Fiserv Forum booed the team as they exited the court. I mean, they're my Wolves, man. Come on. After Giannis scored the first basket of the third quarter, he responded with the 2 thumbs down and was booing the crowd back. After the game, this is what Giannis Antetokounmpo had to say about getting booed by the fans in Milwaukee. Do we have Giannis? Here we go.
Count the bucket. A tough 2 to get. Giannis with a message to the Fiserv fans who are displeased with this team.
I've been doing all season. You guys haven't been with me on the road. Whenever I get booed, I boo back.
No, this is home. I mean, do you
It
have a
doesn't
message?
matter. I don't. It doesn't matter. No, it does not matter. It doesn't matter. I play basketball for my teammates. I play basketball for myself and my family. When people don't believe in me, I don't tend to be with them. I tend to be against them. I tend to do what I...
Tell him, Giannis. All right. He said it's the first time that's happened to him. Okay. So let's go around the room here. I want to go to B-Dot first on this one. The question is, B-Dot, has Giannis burned his bridge with Bucks fans by booing them back?
Before I start on that, where's Giannis' locker? I would think his locker would be right next to Antetokounmpo, but that's we'll talk about that another day. It wasn't. I don't know, but I don't think so. I think the fans burned their bridge with Giannis. I don't think the fans were booing Giannis. They were booing the team. I think the city of Milwaukee loves Giannis because he's the only hope they have for them. I think he's fed up with the fans. Because, like, come on now, we're home. I'm giving my all. I know we're not the best but that shouldn't deserve in us getting booed. But you're looking at it from a fan aspect. All the fans care about is winning, winning, winning. I think the fans still love Giannis. They had a clip of him on the bench where he seemed like he was getting emotional and caught up. Not saying he was crying, but he was very emotional because he hates the position they're in. And I think Giannis is fed up with the Milwaukee Bucks in general, because when they asked Doc Rivers about the 30-point deficit they had, he was talking about, I think it's just dead legs from back to back. Giannis was like, man, that's not no goddamn excuse. It's not no damn dead. Don't matter if it's dead legs, under dead legs. Don't matter what kind of legs you got, stanky leg. You still got to be able to put up an effort and not be down by 30 going into halftime or going into the third quarter. So all in all, I think Giannis is perfectly fine. I think he's fed up with the fans, and the fans still love Giannis. And Giannis, hey, it's a ticking clock. I don't think they trade him right now, of course, but come that offseason, yeah, Milwaukee, Giannis, nah, it's Might as well call it a wraps.
All right, that's B-Dot, ladies and gentlemen. Am Pfeffer, I go to you next here. Has Giannis burned his bridge with Bucks fans?
No, he definitely has not burned his bridge with Bucks fans. I mean, and I don't think of the vice versa that Bucks fans have burned the bridge with Giannis. I mean, he said his piece the way that he said it, and I play for my teammates, I play for myself, because he's pissed off, because he didn't like what he just heard. And I would think he was right in booing them back. He's given his heart and soul and love for the city, and he's brought them a championship. And, everybody's just a little butthurt today or last night or when this happened. But I don't see this as a bigger deal. To me, it just comes down to the Bucks organization as a whole. Like, I know we're having some fun talking about Giannis booing back and all of that. Bucks, guys, listen, for the 90th time, you have one asset, and it is an appreciating asset. Make the right choice in the next couple of weeks. Make a trade for whatever he's the only guy at this point with where the second apron is now who's still going to bring you back multiple first-round picks. This is your last chance. Did I just get, am I over my 60 seconds?
You did, but go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. You got some extra time.
This is it. You screwed up with getting rid of Dame Lillard and stretching that contract. You have no first-round picks for like the next 5 years. You have nothing else on that team. Reset. You are going nowhere with Giannis and the rest of your. At best, you're the 6th or 7th team in the East. You're a first-round playoff exit right now. you keep him on that roster, or you think you're buyers this year and you go over this trade deadline, it's over. You're getting nothing for him when he leaves next year. This is going the wrong direction. Trade him now.
Dwight Walton, you're up next, man. Has Giannis burned his bridge with Bucks fans?
You know what? This is my take on this here. I think Giannis got caught up in his emotions. I think because of the circus that's around Giannis is taking everything personally. I don't think the Bucks fans were booing Giannis. I think the Bucks fans were booing the Bucks roster overall, including the head coach Doc Rivers, for being 30 points down. They question the effort. They will never question Giannis's effort, but because Giannis is well aware of what is happening around him, and this is the possibility that this may be the final weeks that he is on the roster, I think he acted out. I think he lashed out by showing the 2 thumbs down and booing the crowd for his own right. I think he got caught up in the whole thing. They'll never boo Giannis. He has given 13 great seasons. But again, he is aware of what's happening around him, and I think that's what got caught up in this whole atmosphere that night.
Yeah, a lot of emotion tied to this for sure. And here's my take on this. Yes, Giannis did burn his bridge with Bucks fans, but Giannis burned a bridge with Buck fans that was already dilapidating. The bottom line here, guys, Giannis needs to man up. Come on, dude, read the room. Rip off the Band-Aid. Put on the black hat for a minute. That's all you got to do, and you get back to dad jokes and being cute and cuddly. But for a minute, you got to be the bad guy. Ask out. Everyone on earth will understand and cheer for it, dude. The fans in Milwaukee are ready for the tank. Bucks fans don't want you around anymore, Giannis. Let that sink in. The fans aren't booing you because of the scoreboard. They're booing you because you won't man up and ask out. The team ruined its future with the stretching of Damian Lillard's contract. One of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. The Bucks are screwed. They need to start over. Everybody knows it. Giannis always talks about winning multiple championships. He's got one, and he's an all-time great player right now if he never plays another game, okay? He's not a Hall of Famer. He's an all-time great. I love Giannis, okay? But stop wasting time. That's all he's doing in Milwaukee right now. You're wasting time, bro. Giannis is 31, going on 35. He is not a skilled player. He's a dominant player, but that is not sustainable in your late 30s for anybody. Skill guys last into their late 30s. Giannis will start losing his superpowers in 3 to 4 years, and then that's going to be about it. Giannis has a 3 to 4 year window to get the second chip, and it ain't going to happen in Milwaukee. So ask out, Giannis. Rip off the Band-Aid. All right, let's move on to Rich Paul here, guys. The question is, in another clock segment here, 60 seconds for us. And I got to set this up a little bit. Did Rich Paul overstep? Okay. This is why we asked this question. On his podcast with Max Kellerman, he said and I'm paraphrasing, he said the Lakers should swap Austin Reaves to the Memphis Grizzlies for Jaren Jackson Jr. Okay? And he said, this is one of the quotes, if you're building around Luka going forward, which they are, you need that anchor, and Jaren doesn't want to be part of a rebuild. Okay? So we're jettisoning Austin Reaves and going for a declining player in Jaren Jackson Jr., who doesn't even block shots anymore. It's kind of crazy, okay? LeBron James had to clear the air after their win over the Hawks on Tuesday, separating him from Rich Paul, saying, I think you all know by now Rich is his own man, and what Rich says is not a direct reflection of me and how I feel. He said, I hope people know that. I hope people know that, and if they're not sensible to know that, then I don't know what to tell them. I like that quote from LeBron. Now, we're going to have JOVAN BUHA on in about 20 minutes, okay? JOVAN BUHA reports that people in the Lakers organization have not been happy with Rich Paul's podcast, as you might imagine. So, B-Dot, you first here, man. Did Rich Paul overstep with the Reaves comment on his podcast?
I don't even want to say overstep. He's a grown man. He's his own agent. He has his ideals and, dreams of what he thinks should happen and should work. And I mean, People probably only say it's overstepping because he's the most outspoken agent we've probably seen in NBA or sports history. But what's wrong with that? These agents, they only get a certain amount of percentage from these NBA players' contracts, even though these are $1 million contracts. It's still not that much of a lot of money. So why not have your own podcast, create a personality and persona to yourself? Why? Because your greatest client ever will be retiring soon. So what are you going to go off of? You won't be. I'm not saying you're not a Rich Paul without LeBron James, but we know you are Rich Paul because of LeBron James. So hey, Rich Paul, do what you do. And they said him and Austin Reaves' agent chopped it up, and let's just keep it as that. I'm all for the player agent movement. Do what you got to do after your career is said and done. It's up and done. But that's just me from my perspective.
Of course, and we love it. AM Pfeffer, you're next, man. Did Rich Paul overstep with, pardon me, with the Reaves comment?
Oh yeah, he absolutely overstepped. But we are in uncharted territory at this point. Like, super agent Rich Paul has this podcast, and if you have a podcast like that and you're trying to make a name for yourself and you're saying things, you're gonna overstep. This is what's gonna come out. Just like a 12-year-old with a Twitter account. Like, you're gonna say the wrong thing at some point, and there's a reason why you shouldn't have all that social media on your phone. Okay, and you shouldn't have this microphone in front of you, but this is great for the Ringer. This is great for Rich Paul. I got another question for everybody. I hope, Rick, after we finish this up, can we come back? I want to know on this panel who here is a Max Kellerman guy or who isn't, if I may. If we could just kind of like throw that in there, and if we can't, I understand, but I want to hear who is and who isn't and why. But yeah, Rich Paul overstepped, and there was no cause for it, and he caused a stir. Good on LeBron. I love LeBron's response. It was very pragmatic. It was very adult. He said the right thing.
Dwight Walton, you are up next. Did Rich Paul overstep?
This was going to be my rant, so I'll try to shorten it right now. Rich Paul, 10,000% overstepped. He's putting his client, LeBron James, whether you like it or not, he's putting him in a very compromising position, because the reality is people think that LeBron is the commissioner, the president of the Lakers, the head coach of the Lakers, the GM of the Lakers. People feel that he runs everything. So they feel that Rich Paul is LeBron James's mouthpiece. So this is just going to it's just going to divide the locker room as far as I'm concerned. And I think Adam Silver needs to do something in terms of people who are currently in the NBA, be it player or agents. Don't say anything on a podcast. Rich Paul, you're not a GM, you're an agent. So be very judicious with what you say. You're putting a lot of people in compromising positions, LeBron James primarily. Be quiet when it comes to this. You can't be doing this. You're overstepping your boundaries. And now everybody's going to think if a move is made that LeBron James did it. That's how it works here.
Facts, Dwight. I'm into it. So I'll go here. Yes, Rich Paul overstepped. Now, it's extremely rare for an agent to do a podcast. Rich Paul and Rich Kleiman are the only ones doing it. Kleiman is Durant's agent. Rich Kleiman does not say outlandish or slanderous or potentially damaging stuff, though. Okay? And I'm not saying Rich Paul does that all the time, but he did here. These agents know too much insider information to be doing podcasts. They have too many relationships or negotiations that could be compromised or jeopardized by sharing their opinions. They can do way more harm than good to themselves and their clients. I respect the you-know-what out of Rich Paul. He's a gangster agent, but he needs to step away from the podcast and just do his job at a high level. Paul created a distraction for LeBron and the entire Lakers organization. That's not helping. That's hurting, okay? What happens when Reaves sees Rich Paul? Awkward, okay? Rich Paul is stuck on old thinking, guys. A few years back, Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka relinquished the steering wheel to Clutch Sports. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Rich Paul. Remember the Russell Westbrook trade? I mean, he's one of my favorite players of all time. That was a disaster, okay? And the blood was on the hands of Rich Paul, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. I'll make this quick. Because of that, Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka yanked the steering wheel back. And in fact, LeBron is not in charge of the Lakers right now. In fact, he is just a player on their team, okay? And I don't say that with any sarcasm. They said before the season he's not in their long-term plans, okay? LeBron can't big boy Rob Pelinka anymore. He can't. Rich Paul can't big boy Rob Pelinka anymore. He can't, okay? There's new ownership, and there's a new sheriff in town, and it ain't LeBron James, okay? So I love LeBron. I love Rich Paul. I wish him nothing but the absolute best. And Rich Paul will learn from this or not. I don't know, but yes, he overstepped. All right, we have Jovan BUHA. We're going to continue this with him in about 15 minutes. All right, the Max Kellerman thing. All right, let's go around the horn here real quick. I'll make this short and sweet. AM. I'm not a Max Kellerman guy. Like, oh, I love Max Kellerman, but I'm not a Max Kellerman guy. I respect the career, the hustle, the versatility from the boxing to all the sports that he covers. So, like, I respect him, but I'm not necessarily a fan, and I don't want that to come off as a diss, if that makes sense. Like, I respect him, but I'm not like, oh man, I gotta hear what Max Kellerman has to say about the John Harbaugh news. I'm just not there with it. And I don't even know if I'm there with anybody in that regard. Dwight Walton, are you a Max Kellerman guy?
I respect the hustle. From a rapper to a boxing analyst to being on one of the best debate shows of all time, he's carved out a great career for himself. Yes, some of his takes can be outlandish, especially him having Andre Iguodala be the go-to guy on Golden State over Steph Curry. But the guy likes to make hot takes, and I think he likes to stir the pot. He does his job. I think he's an excellent boxing analyst. He is a boxing aficionado as far as I'm concerned, and I think he's done a great job in his career. I'm a fan. I like him. I wish he was still on First Take, but I understand that the powers that be, Stephen A. Smith in particular, had a little bit of a beef with him, so they parted ways. But I think Max is doing just fine. I like what he brings to the table. I respect his career very much so.
So, AM, I assume you're a Max Kellerman guy.
You know, Rick, I actually agree with everything you said about it. What's interesting, by the way, I love the around the horn. Let's go around the horn. Giving a little like shout out back to Max Kellerman because he was, you know, the orig. I'm with you. I don't have to hear what he says. I like some of the things that he said. I think he's a brilliant third side of the argument guy, and I'm somebody who like loves that. Not zag necessarily, but just takes the third side of the argument, which is why like Chuck Klosterman is one of my all-time favorite writers because I think he's brilliant at that, and he really makes us think. Kellerman makes us think, but I don't need necessarily to hear what he has to say, but the respect level is off the charts, and especially because he's a historian, and especially because boxing is his go-to, and he's still like one of the stalwarts of the world that, you know, few people pay attention to. Like UFC became the thing, but boxing had its charm in this country for a long time, and it still has a love. You know, there's still a love for it with a lot of people, myself included. And he's one of the few people who kind of still keeps it afloat. So the respect level there, way off the charts.
B-Dot, are you a Max Kellerman guy?
Max Kellerman is great for sports media to me because he's not a yes man. He actually thinks, you know, he goes against the grain. He builds real arguments. He's not scared to be wrong in public if the take is honest. You know, you don't have to agree with Max, but you understand where he's coming from. You know, like AM said, and that's rare. You know, he brings history, context, logic, especially from the boxing standpoint, and it applies in every debate. He doesn't just yell to win. He debates to push the conversation forward. So sports media needs friction, not groupthink, and I think Max provides that, and that's why he's valuable. And I have all-time, you know, respect for Max. I love what he's done, where he's come from, all the aspects of culture in sports, in media, and in life in general. He's hit, and yeah, I rock with Max. I rock with Max.
All right, B-Dot, I'm going to rock with you. I'm going to keep the hot hand going here. Let's fit in one more debate topic. We got about 10 minutes, and Jovan BUHA is going to be on here with us, Laker Insider. We're going to talk about the Rich Paul thing and other Laker topics with him. What did Oklahoma City prove in their blowout win over the San Antonio Spurs a night or two? I can't even remember what the heck night it was. B-Dot, you first. What did OKC prove in that win against the Spurs, their first win of the year against the Spurs?
I think they just prove that they're not going to back down to anybody, and they'll be able to figure a team out. These are young NBA champions, so they are, they're very mature for their age and have, been in the thick of things. So in terms of them fighting adversity and figuring out, while they have a, almost fully healthy roster, just shows that they're a very good team with a very great leader in SGA and a really good coach. So all in all, I wasn't so much worried about the Spurs like beating them or being better than them. I was just excited that OKC finally, they had a legit matchup, some competition of somebody that they just can't blow out. So I would love to see that. I would love to see a 7-game series of those two teams healthy in the playoffs. And I think OKC is just letting them know, like, look, man, yeah, y'all got us the first, 3 times, but at the end of the day, bro, we the champs and we got SGA. We them boys. So just be prepared when playoffs come.
Dwight Walton, what did OKC prove in that win against the Spurs?
A lot was proven. I know SGA said that wasn't their Super Bowl, but it was their Super Bowl for that night. And what do I mean? The Thunder now have the appropriate fear of the San Antonio Spurs, and they should, because the Spurs beat them 3 times in a 12-day period in December. But also what Monday night or whenever the game was, they discovered something. There's a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence. In the 3 games the Thunder lost to the Spurs, A.J. Mitchell didn't play. A.J. Mitchell played the last game. A.J. Mitchell is another ball handler that could create for himself and for his teammates. That helps SGA out a lot. And I know I'm going against my fellow Montrealer here in Luguentz Dort, but I think the Thunder are starting to understand that may be the recipe that they need to go up against the Spurs, rather than having Lou Dort, who's a terrific defensive player. But he is not the offensive player that A.J. Mitchell is, and A.J. is the good enough defender to where what he may lack, what Lou brings, is more than enough offensively to give the Thunder even more versatility in their offense. A.J. Mitchell is a key component to the Thunder going forward.
No, there's no need. He got out in time. All right. AFF, what did OKC prove in that win against the Spurs?
OKC proved that they got enough Jalen Williams to go around. What do I mean by that? There's 2 guys on Oklahoma City Thunder named Jalen Williams. Jalen, as we all know, a top 25 player when he's dialed in, and he was dialed in that night. But they got a guy on the bench out of Arkansas, Jaylin. And the bench is back. They proved the bench is back in that game. Okay, Caruso played well. Jalen Williams played well. The aforementioned A.J. Mitchell played very well. And when they're dialed in and they're playing defense and they can keep a team like San Antonio under 100 points, even with an off night from Chet Holmgren, who really has a tough time at this point with San Antonio. Maybe they're in his head. I mean, he was the only minus out of the plus-minus in the starting 5. But they proved they could do it without him having a big game, SGA playing as well as he did, and the bench was back. Double the Jalen Williams, man. That's scary.
Okay. I like it. Here's what OKC proved in their win against the San Antonio Spurs. They proved that they can beat the Spurs without Devin Vassell. That's all they proved. With Devin Vassell, the Spurs are 3-0 against OKC. Without Devin Vassell, the Spurs are 0-1 against OKC. It's not a coincidence. Against OKC, Vassell's going 15-5-2. Not great, but he was a plus 10.3 in the first 3 meetings. When you have to start Champagnie over Vassell, that's a hit. That's a downgrade. And I like Champagnie, but he's a bench guy. Very inconsistent with the shot, but hustle and grit. I like the guy, but he's a bench guy. The best lineup in ball right now for me, best lineup in ball, and I don't care about analytics and net rating. De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, Devin Vassell, and Wemby. It's the best 5 in ball. I'll take that 5 against any team. Let's go. Bring it on. Like Ja Morant and Vince Williams. Let's take it to the back, okay? The Spurs beat the Thunder. I still think the Spurs are going to beat the Thunder if they play in a playoff series, as long as they're healthy. Obviously, they got to have Wemby out there. And guys, I have good news. One more meeting. Wednesday, February 5th, right around the corner in San Antonio. It will be 5 meetings between San Antonio and OKC this year, which I think is pretty dang cool. All right, let's we have a little bit of time here before Jovan, so let's get into this Anthony Davis topic, guys. And we're not we'll have to kind of go to Jovan and come back to this, but should the Hawks trade for Anthony Davis? There's a lot of kind of smoke on this right now. Anthony Davis will not require surgery, according to Shams Charania, on his injured left hand. After meeting with his physician, he was expected to heal from the injury in about 6 weeks. Davis was previously expected to have surgery to repair the ligament and miss several months, which was always dubious to me. We talked about that, I think, on the last show. I'm like, what the hell, dude? This should be weeks, not months. Davis, according to Shams, could sit up 8 or more weeks because he's Mr. Bubble Wrap. Despite not going through with the surgery, Anthony Davis could potentially return in March, according to Mark Stein. Shams reports the Mavs have renewed trade talks around Davis with multiple teams interested, and those conversations are continuing as they lead up to the deadline. The Mavs are 10-10 with Davis, 5-15 without him. That's actually a good look for AD. 20 games this year. The numbers are decent, but kind of down from where they usually are for him. 20 points, 11 boards, 3 assists, 1.7 blocks. Like just a hair off from what they usually are. So, guys, I want to play that sound from Shams Charania talking about the Hawks' interest in Anthony Davis. This came out a few days ago, and if you guys are ready, please hit it. Shams on Anthony. Here we go.
Look at this Trae Young deal sets the Atlanta Hawks with additional financial flexibility to be active on the trade front to land another big name player, another major salary, and that being Anthony Davis in season. They're going to pursue Anthony Davis as a prime trade target with the Mavericks, but allowing this pursuit of Anthony Davis is really made possible because you get rid of this salary of Trae Young moving forward. And this is a Hawks team that's now going to turn the page with their young core led by Jalen Johnson and bring in CJ McCollum immediately, a plug-and-play veteran that can space the floor. Corey Kispert, a sharpshooter. So the Hawks are now moving toward figuring out, is there a big salary player that can bring in potentially Anthony Davis? Okay, very interesting. That's certainly...
Indeed. So the question is, Dwight Walton, I go to you first here. So should the Hawks trade for Anthony Davis? Dwight Walton, you are up, my friend.
If the price tag is Zachary Richichet, Luke Kennard, Kristaps Porzingis, absolutely. I think the Hawks are in play here because they have a vision. They got rid of Trae Young because they want to have a roster that's more tailor-made for today's NBA. I think Jalen Johnson has emerged, obviously, as their best player, pretty much to average a triple-double during the month of December. Had a pretty rough night against the Lakers the other night, but Jalen Johnson has definitely proven himself to be an all-star player at some point throughout his career. To be a triple-double threat in the NBA at this stage of his career is pretty impressive stuff. And I think the Hawks want to have a long defensive presence, and I think Anthony Davis fits the bill. Of course, his health will always be in question. But if the price tag is not giving up any draft picks, and if it's just Porzingis, Kennard, and Richichet, the Hawks definitely should pull the trigger.
Good stuff, Dwight. Good stuff. B-Dot, you're next, man. Should the Hawks trade for Anthony Davis?
I mean, if they're able to without, giving up their core, then why not? Just like Dwight said, I didn't even know that and never even seen that in the works with Anthony. But that, if that whole squad is healthy defensively, oh, that's scary. They're very long. You got Dyson Daniels, you got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, you have Jalen Johnson, who's 6'9 plus, and then Anthony Davis is right there. And then whoever you plug in, at that 4 or 5 spot, wherever you want to put Davis X. I know Davis really thrives really well at the 4 in his case, but his numbers are very much better at the 5. But it's whatever the player wants and feels more comfortable with. Why not? You got CJ. That'd be a very interesting lineup. AD's in the East. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind seeing that. When healthy, I would love to see Davis on a contender. If he somehow was able to get to Golden State or I don't even know what other team that would strictly value Davis. But why not bring him to ATL? We got chicken wings.
Toronto Raptors, Brandon.
Oh, I love that. I love that, Dwight. I love that. I love that. Go AM. Go Amp. Say what you got to say. But I do like the Raptors. I like that.
All right. So we're going to bring in Jovan Buha right now. AM, you and I will weigh in on this in just a little bit here, but let's bring Jovan in now if we can. Here to Beyond the Surface on the X-Rated Sports Network. There's my guy Jovan Buha. What's up, Jovan? I think
you got a mute problem.
Is that you guys hear me?
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah, Jovan, what's up, man?
What up? How's it going?
It's going great. Let me introduce you to the guys. Upper right, it's Dwight Walton, Canadian basketball legend, played in the Seoul Olympics in 1988, professional basketball player. Lower left, it's the NBA impersonator, Brandon Armstrong, a.k.a. B-Dot. You've seen his stuff. And A.M. Pfeffer, he's a businessman. He's an anchor, and he's an author, and he's holding it down in our LA studios. And Jovan, the set is looking fantastic. I love the purple lighting. It's a dope look, dude, for sure.
Thank you. I'm actually in the process of I'm moving next week, so I've taken down most of the stuff behind me, but I still got the bookshelf up.
Understood. Good luck on your move, man. All right, so Jovan, let's get into this, man. And I just want to quickly, Jovan's an NBA reporter, analyst, covers the Lakers. He's got the Buha's Block podcast, and it's at Jovan Buha. That's JOVAN BUHA on social media. I had Jovan on my SiriusXM NBA radio show a lot. And I shouldn't say my show, it was me and Antonio Daniels' show. But Jovan came on with us a lot, and he always brings fantastic intel about the NBA and specifically the Lakers. So, Jovan, I saw that you reported that the Lakers aren't really happy with Rich Paul's podcast. So, what does Rich Paul's trade suggestion about Austin Reaves reveal about the power dynamic within the Lakers organization?
Yeah, well, I've been a little surprised that people were surprised by that, or that became such big news over the last few days. I thought it was rather obvious that a team would not be happy about an agent of one of their players talking about potentially trading another player on the roster. It's an unprecedented situation, but certainly, it's a unique dynamic right now with having one of the still probably the biggest star in the NBA and the biggest agent in the NBA right now, having a podcast, having a big platform, and talking about potential moves that team should be making. And this has been ongoing now for over a month in terms of initially it was the Lakers are not contenders. Then you had talking about potentially bringing Austin Reaves off the bench. Then you have the recent conversation about potentially trading him and making an unemotional move to move him for Jaren Jackson Jr. I thought was pretty interesting. So talked to some people in the organization, and understandably they were not thrilled with the biggest agent in the league talking about an upcoming free agent in Austin Reaves potentially being dealt ahead of the trade deadline. And that was not something this is not like he was breaking news that the Lakers are trying to do this. This was more so his opinion and his perspective on the situation. So this has been an ongoing dynamic in terms of the Lakers shifting the power from LeBron and Rich Paul and Clutch into now the Luka era. And Luka is the centerpiece. He is the franchise, the face of the franchise. He is the player they are moving, and trying to build around moving forward. So, I think I'm interested to see the next time they talk about the Lakers, if Rich decides to hold things closer to the vest, or if he keeps letting it fly, and then ultimately where this goes from there.
Great point on that. All right, Dwight Walton, you're next up with a question for Jovan.
Good afternoon, Jovan. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Here's the deal with me. What fascinates me about Rich Paul's comments is that yes, the Lakers want to build around Luka Doncic, but they also want to have a young thoroughbred, who I consider Austin Reaves to be, alongside of him. I do understand that he's going to command a lot of money this offseason because he is an unrestricted free agent. I get all of that, but I'm fascinated to the fact that Rich Paul, in essence, if he's suggesting that the Lakers trade Austin Reaves for a Jaren Jackson Jr., that an aging LeBron James is still going to be a part of that roster going forward. I'm of the impression that LeBron is beyond past the back nine of his career. And if he wants to play for the Lakers going forward, or if he wants to leave the Lakers and play for a contender going forward, that he cannot command the $35 to $50 million that he thinks he might get in his head and handicap salary caps of the Lakers and or other franchises going forward by being on their roster. Does LeBron understand that he has to take a massive haircut financially next year going forward if his career does continue past this season? And does not Rich Paul understand that the Lakers need to build a roster that is more primed for today's NBA than having an aging LeBron James who's still doing his thing at age 41 in his 23rd season? But the Lakers have to move past that, get younger, more athletic, and better defensively if they want to compete in today's NBA.
My understanding of the answer to that is it's unclear right now in terms of what LeBron's next potential contract will look like. We don't even know if LeBron's going to be playing next year. There's still a chance, however slim, that he potentially retires at the end of the season. I think we all assume that he would want a retirement tour. He deserves a retirement tour, right? I think he is on that Kobe level of Kobe had, but I think, in my opinion, the best retirement tour we've seen, maybe of any professional athlete, but certainly in the NBA. I think LeBron would deserve to get those flowers from every road arena, from the LA crowd, or wherever he's playing potentially in the future if he continues to play elsewhere. But I don't know. Like, the answer up to this point has been no in terms of taking a haircut, and it's understandable to a degree because LeBron has argued that he's been underpaid for the entirety of his career. And if you look at, like, I remember when he left Cleveland the first time, they said there was a $1+ billion impact to the city of Cleveland with LeBron leaving, and like, LeBron did not see any of that money, right? Or not anywhere close to how much he was actually worth. So you could argue the totality of his career, he has been underpaid. So I believe players should always be asking for the most amount of money they can get. And with the people criticizing him making the $53 million this year, that was a player option that he earned with his prior play, right? So the only reason you have a player option is because the team gave you that contract, and you had that option of, do I want to be a free agent or do I want to make my money? Now, to your point, him making the most amount of money does not set the Lakers up, obviously, to build the best roster. And as we've seen this season, they're a good but not great team. I don't put them up there with the top contenders. They don't have enough shooting. They don't have the defense. They don't have the speed. They don't have the athleticism. So, like, they certainly could use that flexibility with the contracts to build out a better roster. But I also understand it from LeBron's perspective in terms of him feeling like, I'm LeBron James. Like, I've been the best player on my team basically since I was 12 years old, and I deserve to make this money. But I think moving forward, if he is going to remain a Laker, it certainly has to be at a lower figure. And I like that you started it at around 35, because the notion that he's going to take like a minimum contract, or even like the non-taxpayer MLE of like 15 million, I don't see that. But could he maybe take a pay cut to like 25, 30, 35 million? I think that might be more realistic. And then if he's taking like a $20 million pay cut, all of a sudden you have this flexibility this summer to potentially trade for someone, sign someone. So I do like that. And I think that could potentially be where this heads. But as of right now, I don't have clarity. And again, I don't even know if LeBron has made a decision yet fully in terms of what he's doing next season.
The great Jovan BUHA hanging out with us here, Lakers insider, NBA reporter, and analyst. A.M. Pfeffer is in our LA studios, Jovan. And A.M., hit him with a question.
Yeah, Jovan, great to meet you. Thank you so much for coming on. This is awesome. Appreciate it greatly. My question centers a little bit lower on the roster, right? Like, I'm a salary guy, so I'm looking at Rui, I'm looking at Ayton, I'm looking at LaRavia, right? And I'm curious because I think both the signings of LaRavia and Ayton were actually pretty good mid-level. I mean, Ayton comes in with a player option next year. He's probably going to take it for his $8 million, but he was 2 years, $16 million. I think LaRavia is 2 years, $12 million. So he's pretty good. I mean, if you compare him to what's going on, but Rui's off the books next year. Rui's a free agent, and I don't want to see him back on the team. I mean, regardless of what Rich Paul said It's ridiculous to think about not building off of Luka and Reaves as your backcourt moving forward. We'll see what happens with LeBron, but I want to hear your take on what do you do with Ayton? What do you do with LaRavia in the future? How do you slide him into Rui's position a bit more in that forward position and give him more minutes as a possibility? And really, what do you see happening with Rui and who replaces him when he is finally jettisoned off the Lakers next year?
It's really fascinating in terms of what they're going to do with Rui, because the Lakers have been enamored with Rui for a while, and he is a discovery for them in terms of he was a former lottery pick who was on the outs in Washington and not really living up to his potential. And LA decided to, I mean, they traded Kendrick Nunn, who at the time, was injured and not in a good space with his contract, and multiple second round picks to go get Rui and take this gamble on him. And he has hit. He has outperformed their initial expectations for him. He has turned into, I would say, like a fringe starter / like high level bench player. And he's had a
do
nice
you think
tenure.
$20 million? I mean, he's on the last year of a $20 million contract. Do you think he's worth that $20 million moving forward, or even a bigger contract? Do you want to keep him on the roster, or would you rather move off?
I would move on, and the biggest reason for me is the defensive limitations with Rui, and I think you've really seen this with the starting group, because on paper, if I told you the Lakers starting group is DeAndre Ayton, LeBron James, Rui Hachimura, Austin Reaves, Luka Doncic, that sounds like a pretty good starting lineup. It's LA's best 5 offensive players. You have a certain level of shooting, finishing, then you have the big 3. That group right now is getting outscored by almost 20 points per 100 possessions. They are one of the worst starting lineups in the league. Like they have been like a lottery level starting group, and the Lakers have been winning in spite of that. And if you tune into Laker games, they're often down in the first quarter in the opening shift with that group. Like I think about Christmas Day against Houston, they're down 20-8 in like 4 minutes because that group is slow. They can't defend, and it can be a clunky fit offensively. So I think a big thing has been when they've had a defender out there, whether it's Marcus Smart, Jake LaRavia, Jared Vanderbilt, they have been much more balanced on both sides of the ball, and those lineups have performed much better. So I think moving Rui to the bench and promoting one of the bench guys who's more defensive minded, I think you've seen the lineup data has really shown LA needs like some sort of wing defender out there. And now whether that's trading him at the deadline or letting his contract expire and potentially moving on, I think they have a couple of avenues to go. But I will note they are high on Rui, and I think they're not just going to trade him just to trade him. And I also think if they don't trade him, there's a chance they end up extending him or re-signing him. But I'm a little bit skeptical of him longer term as like a long-term starter, just because, especially if you are building with Luka and Austin, you already are at a defensive deficit. You need to build out a strong defensive front court at that point.
Correct.
And Rui does not build into that. Like Rui does not fit with that. So I think at that point, you're better off going with more defense and athleticism.
Lakers might be high on him, but I'm not. You need 3 and D.
I agree.
To me,
I've been advocating for a smaller role for him.
Yeah, to me, the Rui, that needs to be a 3 and D guy. And I know it's easier said than done, but that needs to be like an Aaron Nesmith, a guy that's just going to take 10 shots, half of them are from 3 and just play killer defense. That's what they need in that Rui spot. I want to bring Brandon Armstrong in here, a.k.a. B-Dot, for another question for Jovan. B-Dot, what you got?
Jovan, man, first and foremost, man, I love the hair. It's
Thank
amazing.
you.
Especially with the ambiance in the background, you're doing it, man. I got a little two-part question. I know we got a short time with you, but you've covered the Lakers across ESPN, Grantland, Fox Sports, and Athletic, and you're an LA native with real inside access. If you had to brief a new Lakers owner in 2 minutes on how the franchise actually operates today, via roster building, who really holds decision-making power, LeBron's influence, internal pressure, and the team's future outlook, also, what's the biggest gap between what fans believe and what's actually happening behind the scenes?
I would start with that second part of the question and say, like, my understanding has been like LeBron and Clutch have not had as much power recently as a lot of people have thought, because to bring this full circle with the Austin Reaves conversation, there has been a push from them to trade for Clutch clients in terms of Trae Young or De'Aaron Fox or DeJounte Murray, Zach LaVine. And the Lakers have not been willing to put Austin Reaves in those conversations. And I think that has been a little bit of a divide between how the Lakers view Austin and how they view the roster versus how Clutch views Austin and how Clutch views the roster. So I know people will look at like drafting Bronny and maybe some of the recent contract stuff with LeBron, but they've been advocating for LA to trade for a third star for a while, and LA has stood pat. I think a big part of this has been ever since the Westbrook trade and sort of the finger pointing that happened after that trade. It's not been the best dynamic in terms of them being on the same page of how to build the roster moving forward. So I would say that a lot, whether you like the roster or whether you don't like the roster, but whether you're happy as a fan or whether you're upset with where things are at, I would say it's primarily been Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka running the show and making those decisions. But for Mark Walter, I would say it's championship or bust every season as a Lakers fan. So Lakers fans, like they don't hang banners for making, winning the Pacific Division or making the finals. It's about, can you get ring 18? Can you get ring 19? Can you get ring 20? So there is a certain standard and a certain pressure. And I think every move the Lakers make from here on out needs to be about how can we put the best roster around Luka Doncic to try and compete for a championship. And so like that has to be the goal here. They don't take gap years. They don't, like, every year the goal is win a championship. So I think that they got to figure that out in the next 3 weeks. What are we going to do? What's the best move we can make going into the deadline? And then next summer, can we trade for another star, or how can we reshape this roster? But the Lakers, it's not like, I'm not going to name any other teams, but it's not like certain other places where they're happy about winning the division. They're happy about winning 50 games. They're happy about winning a playoff series. With LA, it's championship or bust every single year. And if you don't win the championship, the fans are miserable. So it's the privilege of pressure, I would say, with being in charge of the Lakers.
Gotcha. I love
Jovan,
man.
Yeah, man. Jovan, we're going to get you out on time. I have a yes/no question for you. Because what you said about LeBron James. Yeah, what you said about LeBron James, you said, however slim when talking about chances of retirement. Bottom line, yes or no, is LeBron James playing next year? And that's with or without the Lakers. Just will he be in the NBA next year, in your opinion?
I believe so. I think the odds of retirement are probably higher than people think, as in, like, I think most people would say like 0%, 5%, maybe even 10%. I think it's higher than that, but certainly more than, way more than 50-50 in terms of playing next season. So I do, like, metaphorical gun to my head, I would say he's back next year.
Metaphorical. That's good news. I got LeBron in the Cam dynasty. He's already helped me win 2 chips, and hopefully a third this year. It would be 3 in a row, by the way, which he was unable to do with the Heat, but hopefully he can do it on my watch with the Cam dynasty. Jovan, you're my guy, man. Really, really appreciate you joining us here and making some time for us. I'd love to catch up with you maybe like after the trade deadline and kind of take another deep dive into the Lakers, but we'll be in touch, man. I appreciate you.
Let's do it. Next time, I promise my set will be back to normal. I'll have everything behind me. So I appreciate you guys.
I love it. You too, man. Jovan, be well.
You too.
You guys follow him on social media. It's at Jovan BUHA. Again, that's JOVAN BUHA. Jovan BUHA. Give him a follow on Twitter, Instagram, all those things. That was good
Beautiful
stuff,
hair.
man.
Beautiful.
That
hair.
was
Gave
good
me Jimmy
stuff.
Neutron. Gave me Jimmy Neutron. I love it.
Jimmy Neutron. There you go.
Hey, B-Dot. He got that LA hair, bro. He's out in LA, bro. He got that LA hair, man. You got to be looking clean and smooth and good. Yeah, man, come on, Hollywood, man. Look at AM. AM's got LA hair. Are you kidding me right now?
Glowing.
Look at AM. He's got the LA hair too.
Look at him.
Mute too. Mute. Don't even gotta say nothing. Just let that.
I don't think that's his fault. Why can't we hear him? Why can't we hear him?
Am I good now? Yeah. So I was saying
Yeah,
I always like to say that I got politicians' hair, but I appreciate you saying so. Not that I'm ever running for office. I got no interest. I promise.
I'll vote for you, AM. I will vote for you.
I knew you'd vote for me. Thanks, AM. I got at least one vote out there. Thanks, B-Dot.
We need a good guy in politics, dang it. We need a good guy in politics. All right, AM, you are up here. We're going to finish out the Anthony Davis topic here. Should the Hawks trade for Anthony Davis, AM?
Yeah, great segue back into me saying, hell no. There is absolutely no reason for the Hawks to bring Anthony. Anthony Davis is over, my friends. I'm sorry to say. I loved his career. I think he's still probably got 5 years left in the NBA, but are they going to be at a high level? Are they going to be 75-plus games a year? No, no, and no. He's awesome when he's on the court. He's a difference maker. The Hawks do not need to get into this business. I think they did a great thing. Sorry, Rick. Getting rid of Trae Young the way that they did and what they took back, didn't need the picks. I'm fine with it, washing machine or not. They've set themselves up. They're a 500 ball club who set themselves up into position with cap flexibility, and it doesn't need to be for a brittle Anthony Davis. As good as he might make them this year or make him a contender if he can come back in 8 weeks, that's so far down the road. You don't even know if he's going to be healthy enough to do that, but you can guarantee he's going to get hurt again and probably get hurt before the end of this season. Sorry, Dallas. He's your problem. He's got to stay there, and you could figure out what to do with him. The Hawks have way other better options, and they've got money to do it with moving forward. Wait till next year.
I completely agree with AM Pfeffer, and now it's my turn. I'm going to say a lot of the same stuff. No, the Hawks should not trade for Anthony Davis. No one should trade for Anthony Davis. He doesn't fit with any team in the league, given his age, contract, future contract demands. Did you guys know he wants a max contract extension over my dead body? And the fact that he's one of the softest players ever to play. I mean, the guy never plays. You're paying for a myth, a ghost. Look, if you have Anthony Davis, your team looks good on paper. But that's it. The 29 other teams should ignore the Mavericks trade offers and let Adelson and Dumont roll around in the bed that they made. Do you want to commit $120 million over the next 2 years for Anthony Davis? Because that's what it is. $60 million a year for 60 games over the 2 years. Yes, that's 30 games a year. Guys, it's 54, 58, 54 this year, 58 next year, and then a player option at $62 million for his age 34 season, which he is guaranteed to pick up. No, Hawks. It's going to be the most Hawk thing ever quickly here because they're probably going to make this trade. But the Hawks are so dumb and they're so mid and nothing ever works out for them. So they probably deserve each other. But no, I say no. Nobody should trade for Anthony Davis. That's Dallas's problem, AM, to your point, and let that continue to be Dallas's problem. By the way, I am loving the memes, okay? The one where Davis is like with the walking boot, and it said Anthony Davis's first signature shoe. I'm still laughing about that. And then yesterday it came out, they showed Anthony Davis like at shoot around or whatever, all in bubble wrap. I laughed for 3 hours about that. It's so awesome. I love it. All right, let's get back to football a little bit here. Let me give you some factoids, and then I'll hit you guys with the question. But let's talk Mike Tomlin, okay? The question is, TV or coaching for Mike Tomlin? No timer yet, I'll let you know. But Tomlin stepped down as the Steelers coach. We know this. 19 years, phenomenal coach, future Hall of Famer, all that kind of stuff. The Steelers took a chance way back in the day on a 35-year-old, one-year defensive coordinator. He delivered 193 wins, 8 division titles, and a 6th Lombardi to the Rooney family. Pittsburgh players were in disbelief, reportedly, after Mike Tomlin told them at 2 a.m. after losing, in the playoff game that he's stepping down. Mike Tomlin leaving the organization means the Steelers retain his rights. This is critical. He was not fired, okay? So if Mike Tomlin wants to coach again, a team is going to have to come trade for him. So he could take a year off, possibly do TV, then get back into coaching. So the Sean Payton scenario, remember he was with the Saints, left, and then obviously he's with the Broncos right now, number 1 seed in the AFC. But the Broncos had to trade for Sean Payton. And let me remind you guys what they had to give up, okay? Because it wasn't a 7th round pick and Mr. Irrelevant and all that. The Saints got a first-round pick and a second-round pick. Whoa! The Broncos got Sean Payton and a third-round pick. Okay, so that's obviously incredibly high draft capital for a coach. Okay, so there's a debate within the debate there. It's not even worth it. All right, Mike Tomlin, Andrew Marchand reports Fox, ESPN, NBC, and CBS would all have interest in him if Tomlin wants to go into TV. Marchand reports that Fox would be the favorites for his services. So with that as the setup, I go to Dwight Walton on this one first, and we're good on time. No clock on this one, guys. No clock. Let's chill, little elbow room here, and talk Mike Tomlin. Dwight, the question is TV or coaching for Mike Tomlin?
TV all day, every day for Mike Tomlin. I think he deserves to have a year off. His quotes are undeniable. ESPN ran a little minute segment the other night talking about Mike Tomlinisms, the sayings that he's had in all of his press conferences. He will bring flavor, swag, enthusiasm to any panel he goes to, whether it be ESPN, Fox, NFL Network, NBC, whatever the case may be. Whoever has the NFL rights, Mike Tomlin deserves to be in the media this year. He will take a year off. I don't see a team trading, although teams may want to trade for him. I get that market as well. But I just think that right now he is primed and ready to be in the media with his Tomlinisms.
The Tomlinisms are awesome. By the way, I'm an enormous fan of Mike Tomlin, right? Every time, fire Mike Tomlin, I'm like, screw you, buddy. Like, leave the damn stadium. Go somewhere else. Be a Browns fan. Be a Jets fan. Are you serious, you entitled Steez fans? Give me a break. Fire Mike Tomlin. You know what? Mike Tomlin might still be your coach, you dumbasses, but you ran him out of town. That's possible. How do you think Mike Tomlin felt about never having a losing record? I delivered you a chip, and you guys are out here saying, fire me? I would have Mike Tomlin should have walked out after losing that playoff game with a double middle finger salute. Maybe that's just me, though. B-Dot, you're next here, man. TV or coaching for Mike Tomlin?
To piggyback off Dwight, yeah, go in TV for a year. T-time with Tomlin, I love to see that. You know, the teams that I want him to go to, you know, he won't be going to because they're all division rivalries. They're all division rivals, and they're not trading for them anytime soon. The Browns, the Ravens, who wouldn't want to see Mike Tomlin, you know, with Lamar Jackson and them boys? But that's not happening no time soon. Tomlin, go ahead and ride off in the sunset, have your cigar, and enjoy your year off. And if you want to come back to coaching, you're going to be well accepted. There are going to be plenty of jobs opening for you. But other than that, go on prime time, man. Go ahead and take a page out of Sean Payton book, man. Like you said, we'll love to see, you know, the Tomlinisms and all that, you know, we didn't get to see from him as a coach. We love to see these coaches' personalities, and Mike Tomlin, that's one personality I would love to see. He looks super cool, but gonna put you in your place when said and done. So TV time is for me.
I like it. Sean Payton. I'm a fan of his too, not to the level of Tomlin, but Sean Payton wasn't very good on TV, and I say that with love. I mean, he just didn't really. Mike Tomlin is going to melt microphones on TV. Okay, he is going to be phenomenal. And again, God bless Sean Payton. I just, you know, he would do some Fox desk work from time to time, and the analysis was good. The delivery, like, he's just not a TV guy. He's just not.
Imagine Tomlin and Stephen A. right across from each other going at it, man. Come on now.
What? Oh yeah. And never mind. I think there was maybe a Max Kellerman joke in there, but I'm just gonna leave that for another show, man. AM Pepper, TV or coaching for Mike Tomlin?
TV all day, maybe 2 years if he wants it. Look, let's talk about Tomlin for a second. I'm with you, Rick. I'm a huge Tomlin fan. There was a brief period of time years ago when the Le'Veon Bell scenario became an issue and Antonio Brown was becoming an issue, and like there was all this talk, maybe Tomlin wanted to move up for the Steelers. Then I was like, as a Jets fan, give whatever you want to Pittsburgh. Give them the first and second round pick at that point. Give them whatever. Get Mike Tomlin to the building. Pay that man whatever you wanted. I would have killed to have him as our head coach. I still think he's great, though. Yeah, maybe it's run its course in Pittsburgh and the time is up. But yeah, I'm a huge Tomlin fan. Here's the interesting thing about Mike Tomlin. 53 years old, 10 years younger than John Harbaugh, by the way. 201 career wins. Shula has 347. He still has the most ever, followed by Bill Belichick at 333. Andy Reid's over 300 now. I think he's got 307. Tomlin could catch. Tomlin could potentially be there, and he could still take 2 or 3 years off from coaching and do another 20-year run if that's what he wants, winning 10 a year, because that's all that man does, and he could be close to 350 to 400 wins when all is said and done. But for now, enjoy yourself. You've earned it. Get yourself on TV, a nice cushy job, get paid well, and say something funny we all want to hear.
You know what the coaches say? You don't take any losses when you're in TV, man. I mean, you don't get the wins either, but we know that coaches suffer losses more than they exult in wins, especially a guy like Mike Tomlin. But you ain't taking no L's if you're with Fox next year. You're taking no L's. All right, here's my take, guys. Again, I've established in the love fest that we're having here for Mike Tomlin, I'm enjoying the heck out of it. Mike Tomlin may never coach again. Here's why I say that. I don't want this to be the case. I don't. I want Mike Tomlin, as AM was saying, coach another 20 years, threatened Don Shula for most wins of all time. Here's why I say that. And it's not a hot, you guys know I don't do hot takes. The only way for Mike Tomlin to coach is for another team to give up a first and second round pick for him. Why would Pittsburgh accept anything less than what New Orleans got for Sean Payton? The answer is they wouldn't. Okay? So you have to go really big to get Mike Tomlin. Tomlin's resume and swagger and presence and leadership says he's worth that trade. And I think a team will probably do it. And a team, but as I said with Sean Payton at the time, and I was on Mad Dog Sports Radio when I was saying this, I will now stay consistent and say this with Mike Tomlin. These are two GOATs, okay? Sean Payton's a GOAT too. You got a ring too. There is no way I, Rick Kamla, am trading premium draft capital in the most important draft in all of sports for a coach. Would not do it. Period. End of story. I don't care if you can't guarantee a championship, right? But I'm not trading a first and second round pick for any coach. Not Tomlin, not Payton, not Belichick, not George Halas, not Vince Lombardi. Okay? No, I'm not giving up that. I'll give you a third. I'll give you a fourth. I'll give you a third, a fourth, and a sixth. I mean, I will give you draft capital. Over my dead body, are you getting a first and second round pick? Again, guys, nobody cares about the baseball draft except baseball guys. I'm a baseball guy, but I don't even care about the draft. The NBA draft is number 2, but it's 2 rounds. The NFL is 7 rounds. It spans like a week, okay? It is by far the most important draft we have in North American professional sports. And I'm going to torpedo either my upcoming draft with my brand new coach or my next 2 drafts with my brand new coach. Nope. Not going to do it, dude. Not going to do it. I would rather draft the players and challenge myself to find the next Mike Tomlin or the next John Harbaugh, and then I'll have the best of both worlds, okay? So a team is going to come out of the woodwork and belly up to the bar and give what it takes to get Mike Tomlin, and I'm going to be out here cheering for it, but thinking I wouldn't have done that. But I will be happy to see Mike Tomlin back in the National Football League. This year, I agree with you guys. I see a year in TV, and then I think he's going to get back into this thing. But again, I ain't giving up a first and second round pick for any coach. I don't care. I don't care. Don Shula, may he rest in peace. I ain't trading those picks for any of these coaches. All right. Dwight Walton, you first on this, man. Is this the end for Aaron Rodgers? All right. We did this when Mahomes blew the tire with Travis Kelce, right? And is Kelce going to come back or not? So Tomlin leaving Pittsburgh creates a big-time Aaron Rodgers question because Aaron Rodgers loved Mike Tomlin. Aaron Rodgers loves Pittsburgh. loves playing for the Steelers. He talked glowingly about their tradition, their history, their fan base, the all-time greats that have been in that building, and compared it to his time in Green Bay and expressed a lot of gratitude and thanks for playing for those two, obviously, what do you call them, heritage teams. Steelers and Packers, come on. Like, people that don't even know football know who the hell those teams are, right? So, Dwight Walton, is this the end for Aaron Rodgers? Did he play his last game on Monday night?
This is almost a trick question. And I'm only saying it this way because we just saw Phillip Rivers return to the National Football League after 5 years not playing in an NFL game. Do I think Aaron Rodgers is leaning towards retirement? I would say he's leaning towards it. Does he announce it at some part of this year, 2026? It's possible. I don't think it's the last we've seen of Aaron Rodgers because of the relative success that Phillip Rivers had with the Indianapolis Colts. It wasn't great. The throws were wobbly, but the experience, the leadership, the being able to recognize the defenses and audibilizing at the line of scrimmage, I think what Phillip Rivers did, a lot of general managers around the National Football League will turn to Aaron Rodgers if injuries occur or if they're not happy with the development of the quarterbacks that they have in their organization at that time. So do I think Aaron Rodgers is leaning towards retirement? Yes, I do. Do I think he doesn't play next season? I'm not so sure, but Phillip Rivers has changed the minds of everyone in this regard. He's 42. He's still somewhat athletic. He looks slow some days, looks spry other days, as most 40-year-olds and playing in professional sports would look. But I don't think we've seen the last of Aaron Rodgers. He may announce a retirement, but I think he comes out of retirement in an emergency situation the same way Phillip Rivers did this season for the Indianapolis Colts.
Very interesting take. Am Pfeffer, you're next. Have we seen the last of Rodgers?
I love everything Dwight just said. I'm piggybacking 100% of what he said. He's going to retire this year. That's it. He doesn't want to go through training camp again. He doesn't want to get hit. He doesn't, his QBR is bottom third of the league. The guy is his average yards per, average air yards are way down. I mean, he loves to just throw screen passes or hawk it up to DK Metcalf or hope there's a pass interference play. He's still got it. The arm is still live. There's plenty to do there, but he can't move around the same way. He wants to get rid of the ball in 2 seconds. He doesn't want to get hit. Does he need to go out there and play in the cold again in Pittsburgh or wherever? No. But at some point, some team is going to get desperate the middle to the second half of next year. They're going to make the phone call. Does he pick up the phone? Does he show up and get into the building? And does he try and be a savior for 4 to 6 teams for some other team? Probably. It's Aaron Rodgers. Why not?
Love it, love it, love it. All right, B-Dot. B-Dot must have had something going on. All right, he's not with us anymore. All right. Okay. Boy, I'm still like kind of conflicted on this. Dwight, I definitely think that Aaron Rodgers is leaning towards retirement. Because it's what I understand that you can't sprint to the sideline, right? Like he always used to do, right? For that 3rd down and 3, that 3rd down and 4 or 5, right? And just sprint and you go right to the marker and you just barely get that 1st down, right? He can't do that anymore. He had opportunities here late in Pittsburgh's run and didn't take them because he doesn't want to get hit and all that. You guys remember the sack that he took on Monday night where he wasn't sacked, he fell down. Do you guys remember that? Where the pocket collapsed and he just fell down. And then somebody touched him.
Yeah.
And so that's the other thing. Man, the look on his face. He was not having fun at all. It was like you're at a concert, you go get a beer and it's a cup of puke. Like that was his vibe on Monday night. Like he wanted to be anywhere but that stadium. Do you remember the time where he was coming to the sideline. I think it was first quarter, and he screamed, "Do your bleeping job." Did you guys see that? You could read his lips. He said, "Do your fucking job." Talking to one of the offensive linemen. I think it's time. I agree with AM. The arm is still alive, dude. The throw that he had for the game-winning touchdown against Baltimore, which they had the cool, like, low end zone angle where, like the NFL films, you can see the spiral coming through the air. And I'm like, that guy can still throw the rock with the best of them, but he can't do anything else. He can't even, like, shimmy in the pocket right now. So I'm going to say that's it. I don't want it to be it. I hate it when GOATs retire. I hope Aaron Rodgers comes back next year, but I'm just, that's where I'm at. I think we saw the last Aaron Rodgers. Those were the vibrations I was getting while watching the game. And then, like, as he was walking off the field, he had that look. And we've all seen it. We've all seen that movie before, whether it's Jeter or Brady or whoever it is. He had that look because he was kind of looking around and taking it all in. I was getting last game vibes big time, dude. So I hope I'm wrong. I don't like this take at all, but I'm going to say that was it for Aaron Rodgers. That's my prediction. And again, I hope I'm wrong with that. B-Dot, was Monday night the last time we see Aaron Rodgers play NFL football?
Oh yeah, man. Hey, AR, come over here to Arizona. Let's go to Sedona. Let's go do some shrooms. Let's go do some ayahuasca, whatever you do. Let's go tour the Grand Canyon. Come on, man. All on your ticket, man. Like we good, man. Just sit your butt down, AR, man. I understand. I think he comes back or he doesn't retire if it's the perfect situation, similar to Brady, but he doesn't have 7 rings. He doesn't have, even though he is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all we've ever seen, he doesn't have that Tom Brady power to be able to say, I want this coach, I want this player, I want this offensive line, I want this superstar model. So if the situation isn't perfect for him, it's time to sit down, man. Like I said, come over here, get on that Pat McAfee show. We'd love to see you on one of them podcasts. TV wise, I don't think the attention span is going to be enough for Aaron Rodgers for him to sit down for an hour broadcast, especially if he's taking something beforehand. So I think that was the last time we've seen of Aaron Rodgers, sadly. And yeah, man, he had a great career. Come on now, one of the great quarterbacks we've ever seen, if not the best in some people's eyes.
You know what?
Yeah,
Rick?
Go ahead, Dwight.
If I could say one more thing here. Listen, when that game was in hand, and it was close going into that fourth quarter, but when the game was in hand, if you listen to Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, the way they were talking about Aaron Rodgers as the clock was ticking down, it's almost as if they knew something. And the way the television crew followed Aaron Rodgers the entire time when the game was over, it's almost as if they knew something was coming. Now, again, do I think he's going to announce the retirement? I think he does, but like I said, the Phillip Rivers thing has just complicated things. I think Aaron Rodgers is not done with the National Football League. He will be called in an emergency situation, but I think there's intel, especially the way the broadcast ended the other night, that they know Aaron Rodgers isn't coming back. But again, because of the Phillip Rivers situation, I don't think we've seen the last of Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback in the National Football League.
So I'm a TV nerd, okay? I worked in TV for 17 years. Had an IFB in my ear, sideline reporting, anchoring, play-by-play. Thank you, God, for all those opportunities. I can't tell you how many times I mean, don't get me started when Travis Kelce scores a touchdown and we don't even get to see his touchdown celebration. They go right to Taylor Swift in the luxury box. I want to throw a brick at my TV when they do that, okay? Like, can you wait 7 seconds? Can we get Kelce spiking the ball and mobbing with his teammates a little bit and then go to Taylor Swift? Because she's still going to be jumping up and down. I mean, stop the music, okay? And if it's Taylor Swift, please stop the music. But I can't tell you how many times. I got jokes today, guys. I can't tell you how many times like I get mad at cutaways and the director's decisions, right? At the end of that game, Dwight, that was what I was thinking. Stay on RODGERS. Nothing else matters. The coach handshake doesn't matter. The fans in the stands don't. Nothing matters except Aaron Rodgers right now. And they complied with that plan. I'm knocking my stuff around here. I just thought that was brilliant. They may have known something they may not have, but as journalists, you have to at that point. It's not about the Texans at that point, people. Nah, it's about Aaron frickin' Rodgers. And ESPN did, I thought, a phenomenal job of honoring that, just in case that was it. Okay, but like a player, like a guy will hit a home run, and they'll immediately like go to the crowd, right? Why? Show the bat flip. Show the guy rounding the bases. Show him touch home plate. Show him partying with his teammates. Take him all the way to the dugout. And then go to the crowd. It just try, and you can run a replay of the crowd if you want. They get off the player. They get off the hero way too soon because it's got to be the 2 second chop, the 3 second chop, then 2 seconds, then 3 seconds, then 4 seconds. Dude, calm down in the control room. All right, sorry, I'm a TV nerd. I had to get that off my chest. Guys, it is rant time. It is rant time. I want to go to AM first here. Roundtable rant, baby. AM, what you got?
Oh, I got a rant for you, Rick. I've been thinking about it all show, and I've been thinking about it since literally our first segment, and this goes all the way back to Dwight Walton. Dwight, you inspired me from our first conversation. What am I talking about? I'm going back to De'Aaron Fox and the San Antonio Spurs. Follow me here, guys. I've got to rant a little bit. My man has got to get off the Spurs for the Spurs' sake. I understand you think he's not going anywhere. I want to answer a couple of questions that you brought up, by the way, and this isn't to prove you wrong. I promise. I just want to clear the air about De'Aaron Fox. He's from the Big Easy, but he did play his high school ball in Texas. Houston, you ask anybody from the San Antonio area, San Antonio ain't Houston and Houston ain't San Antonio. His wife, Reaves, not really from San Antonio, did play her college ball at Texas Tech, and which is why De'Aaron Fox wears number 4 in honor of her. She also did a little videography for the University of Texas, which, as we all know, is in Austin. And ask anybody from San Antonio and Austin ain't San Antonio. So the ties aren't quite as strong as you think there. But this is where it gets interesting. Guys, you have a nucleus down in San Antonio, and they've got to pay these guys what Wemby's going to get paid, what Harper's going to get paid. You know, who you've got on that team that you expect to be your nucleus moving forward. Next year, De'Aaron Fox has a 4-year extension that kicks in at $57.5 million a year for 4 years. That is going to pontoon your team. Let's keep this in mind as well. 2026, 2027, the cap is at $166 million. The first apron, I believe, is at $210.3 million. And the second apron, the dreaded second apron you cannot get over unless you want to kill every part of your team, is $223.1 million. Where does this leave us with De'Aaron Fox? Where can he actually get traded to? Dwight, you're going to love this. The Toronto Raptors. That's actually how this is going to work. Why? What did they just try and do? They tried to trade for Trae Young before he went to the Washington Wizards, right? They were willing to probably give him max money or close to. They wanted off Immanuel Quickley's salary. Let's talk about Immanuel Quickley's salary for a second. $32.5 million over the next 4 years. That's a big difference from $57.5 million over the next 4 years. This actually works for both teams. Bring Quickley down to San Antonio and swap him out for De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox is obviously a better player, but Immanuel Quickley's numbers he's been producing, and he would slot into the point guard role that San Antonio isn't going to have much of a drop-off of at Fox. And again, you're really going to go back to who you should be focused on if you're San Antonio and the nucleus of your team. Okay, what happens up in Toronto if you're bringing $57.5 million in De'Aaron Fox up there, which obviously is what Toronto wanted to do in some capacity for some exciting point guard? You still have Scotty Barnes on the hook next year for $41.7 million. You keep Brandon Ingram, who's only 28 years old. He's an all-star this year. He's at $40 million next year. And if you're going to do, who do you move off of after that? It's RJ Barrett or Jakob Poeltl, okay? I'd opt to keep Barrett because he's $29.6 million next year, and he's doing very well. You also have a problem with Poeltl because you have a terrible contract as well over the next 4 years. Next year, he jumps to $27.3 million on another 4-year contract. You've got to get off that. But going back to the 4 guys that I mentioned, Fox, Barnes, Ingram, and Barrett, that all equals $168.3 million for those 4 salaries next year. Again, the cap is $166. You're going to be way over that, obviously, but the first apron's $210.3. You could still fill out the rest of your roster if you get off Poeltl and not really run afoul of the first apron. But if you do, you still can go all the way up to 22.3.1. You got plenty of money to fill out who you need, getting another center position, getting a mid-level guy. Look, we just saw what the Lakers did paying DeAndre Ayton and Jake LaRavia barely anything on the mid-level. There are guys out there who could be had, especially with the first and second apron as part of the CBA right now. Salaries are going to change. Toronto has the flexibility. They want the point guard. San Antonio, you must get off this De'Aaron Fox contract. I understand you're second in the West right now. I understand that Fox has been a big reason you have, especially with Wemby out. This isn't going to age well. This is about business. This is about money, and you know it matters to AM Pfeffer. This has to happen. Welcome to Toronto, De'Aaron Fox.
I can't believe Jakob Poeltl is going to be making $27 million. Okay, I love that whole rant, and I'm like, there's no effing way. And I like Jakob Poeltl. Jakob Poeltl to me is 4 years, $60 million. He's $15 million a year. He's a double-double guy, he's a solid player, right? He's on a 4-year, $104 million contract. What the hell were they thinking? I just don't get it. Dwight Walt, you're next. What's your rant, my brother?
I've got a couple of rants. My first rant is going to be, I am applauding Jacksonville reporter Lynn Jones for having a moment with the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Liam Cohen. Again, I didn't study media, but I do understand that one of the first things you learn as a reporter in journalism is that you're to do your job when doing a press conference, when interviewing somebody either personally or in a scrum or a press conference setting, as was the case after the Jacksonville Jaguars lost to the Buffalo Bills last Sunday. She had a moment where she was in support of Liam Cohen because she knew at that time that the Jaguars were playing so well, had so much momentum coming into that playoff game, hosting a game in Jacksonville against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. They were expected to win as far as I was concerned. Maybe the line in Vegas didn't expect that to happen, but I expected it to happen. And I think she sensed and felt the disappointment and decided, instead of asking Coach Cohen a question, she proceeded to have a feel-good moment with him, to encourage him, to say, listen, the sun is going to shine and rise the next morning. Yes, feel hurt, feel the pain of this loss, but as she said, Duval, you're the one. And just basically saying, we believe in you, we believe in what you've done this season, and we believe in what you're going to do going forward. Again, I understand that in Journalism 101, you are told to not be a fan of a team, not to be a fan of a player, a particular coach, this, that, and the third. I understand that part. But I just think at that moment, at that time, rules are allowed to be broken. Have common sense. She had a feel-good moment with this man. And I think overall, it was taken as that. You have some reporters, both black and white, who are vehemently opposed to what Lynn Jones did. But I want to sit here and applaud what she did. It was a great moment, enough for Adam Schefter to retweet it, and he's very much in the media as well. He understood the difference. This wasn't a time to adhere by the rules. He understand what it meant, and because it was so unique, I think it was taking it in more of a positive than it was a negative. Yes, he had some reporters out there who were vehemently opposed to it, but Lynn Jones, I applaud you. Continue to do what you're doing. I loved it. The majority of the people loved it, and just continue to be who you are, the great reporter that you've been for the last 30 years. And one more thing here. I want to go at Rich Paul again. Rich, I understand that your boy LeBron James has put you in a great position to become one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful agent that we currently have in professional sports. And we're on a podcast right now. I'm on a podcast right now. But you have to understand the difference, especially when your main client is your boy, the one that got you started in this business, LeBron James. Anything you say, people are going to assume, whether you like it or not, that you're a mouthpiece for LeBron. For you to suggest that the Lakers trade Austin Reaves for Jaren Jackson Jr., people are going to think that's LeBron who's saying it, basically saying that the Lakers know, LeBron knows that they're not good enough at this point. So you need to be more judicious. Go on your podcast, be fine, but be more judicious with what you say, because you're putting LeBron and others in a very compromising position.
All right, I love it. B-Dot, you like going last, man. So I'm going to hit you guys with two brief rants. The Fire Doc Rivers chants have returned, and y'all suck for that. Phil Jackson couldn't win with this Bucks team, you dummies. You guys think it's Doc Rivers' fault, or you think he needs to be fired? If you think that, you're a clueless moron who has no ability to contextualize. In the Bucks blowout loss to the Wolves, they started Giannis, Porter Jr., Ryan Rollins, and AJ Green. Red Auerbach couldn't win with that group, okay? I mean, stop it. Doc Rivers is the most disrespected coach ever in any sport. He is one of 7 coaches to have 1,000 wins and a championship. Here's the list. Doc Rivers, Rick Carlisle, Phil Jackson, Pat Riley, Greg Popovich, Larry Brown, Lenny Wilkins. All GOATs. Sit the bleep down. And one more thing. I can't believe the overreaction to LeBron James playing that back-to-back against Atlanta the other night. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I mean, they wanted to send his damn uniform to the Hall of Fame the next day because he played in a back-to-back. Dave McMenamin, pardon me, I'm screwed up. Dave McMenamin, who is a buddy of mine, they were making such a big deal out of this and his game day preparation to play in a back-to-back. Legion Hoops called it insane. It's not insane. It's his job. Give me a break. Okay, so here it was. Cold tub, hyperbaric chamber, nap, Normatec, activation, stretching, rehabbing, lifting, pregame meal, and you flirt with a triple-double against the Hawks. Duh. Is year 23 impressive? Yes, year 23 is impressive. Give LeBron his flowers. I love LeBron. This is not a LeBron thing. This is the people around, okay? We're acting like he had a 70-point triple-double or that he walked on water. He's the 3rd greatest player of all time, still putting up big stats every night, and he played in a back-to-back. That's all he did. Oh, no, not a back-to-back. To give LeBron extra credit for playing in a back-to-back is an example of how soft the NBA has become and another sign of the wussification of America. LeBron James is making $52.6 million this year for 82 games, plus the playoffs. He's not making 52.6 to never play in back-to-backs like Kawhi Leonard or Joel Embiid. Give me a freaking break. B-Dot, you're up.
All right, man.
Come
Let's
on,
get
man.
this out the way. If your basketball argument starts with plus minus, you don't know basketball. You know Excel, okay? Because plus minus is the most laziest. It is the most laziest stat used to sound smart without doing the work, okay?
Let's
You
go.
didn't watch the rotations. You didn't see who was guarding who. You didn't see the lineup disasters, okay? You just saw a minus sign and decided, oh, yeah, man, bro, trash. A player can be hooping, scoring, defending, making the right reads, but he gets stuck on the floor with the weak bench unit, and suddenly he's not impacting winning. No, he's babysitting. Meanwhile, a role player gets hot for 6 minutes next to the starters, and now he's elite. Relax, okay? He was just standing next to greatness, okay? I love LaRavia. He's a good player, but he's not the next coming of freaking Jamal Crawford off the bench, all right? Plus minus doesn't tell you who can hoop. It tells you who survived the coach's rotation roulette, all right? And the funniest part, the same fans who say, watch the game, be the same ones building whole opinions off one stat they don't even understand, right? Basketball is timing. It is reads, pressure, accountability, not vibes, not spreadsheets. So yeah, use plus minus as a tool, but if you're using it as a verdict, you're not breaking the game down, okay? You're breaking common sense, all right? And let me leave you with this. Stats don't lie, but fans lie like hell. And that's my rant.
You guys freaking rock. I already knew this. I covet these opportunities to work with you guys, man, on Mondays and Thursdays here. Guys, we're out. This has been a beefy extravaganza of a show. Huge thanks to Jovan BUHA for hanging out with us, for Brandon Armstrong, for Dwight Walton, for A.M. Pfeffer, for Dr. X, who's traveling right now, for Jason Arambulo and Kai Josephson behind the glass. I'm Rick Kamla. We will see you Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern with the next edition of Beyond the Surface right here on the X-Rated Sports Network.